Good evening, everyone, and top of the morning to you, and welcome to another episode of Max's Man Cave, a very special episode of Max's Man Cave. Will I be wearing this hat the entire night? Only you will decide. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. We have a fantastic panel, and we have a very special guest. And come, Josh, really? We have a lovely guest with us tonight. And she also has a closeout campaign right after this. So let's go ahead and introduce our panel. Thank you guys again for being here with us tonight. And huge thank you to Rini for hanging out with us tonight and celebrating her Fiendish 2.5 closeout stream tonight. Happy St. Patty's Day to you.
Happy St. Patty's! Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure. And I am working on getting a drink ready in honor of St. Patty's.
Good. I'm glad. Now, how are you celebrating tonight, and how have you celebrated in the past?
Me?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't usually do St. Patty's. It's just, during college, it would be like, it's people, my friends would go out to drink and stuff because I'm like 0%. Irish. Yeah, I'm like, it's Irish. I'm terrible. I have no idea. I don't really have any traditions. Some of my friends dress in green on St. Patty's Day, but it's a fun time. Good. I will partake if everyone else is partaking.
Yeah.
I just like to drink, guys. Everyone watches my channel. I just like to drink. It's a problem.
Any excuse to drink. I love it. So Josh, Drew, Aaron, what about you guys? How do you celebrate St. Patty's? Well, tonight we're celebrating here, but other than that, do you guys normally do any? Hey, there we go. That's what we're talking about. Do you guys have any?
I just on my way home, I just yell at people in traffic with an Irish accent.
Oh.
So actually tonight on the way home, I actually yelled at somebody, that was like hesitant to go through the light. They were like, "Oh, I'm not sure," and I was like, "You need to go. It's green. It's not going to get any greener. In fact, it's only going to get less green."
That's actually pretty amazing. That's the perfect way to celebrate.
Yeah. No, that's great. Josh, I know your internet is a little glitchy, but are you just going to respond to us in the chat tonight?
No. I'm here. I was giving people their chance to speak. I wanted everyone to have their moment. I celebrate by not wearing green and just lurking in public all day because I'm looking to get pinched, baby. Hey.
Ooh, Josh is spicy. Okay. Oh. But what if it's like the wrong type of pinch? What if it's someone that you don't want to get pinched by, and you're like, "Oh, that wasn't a good one."
Well, I am very quick, despite what people might think. So it's very easy to be like, "Oh shit," and like bolt the other way.
Josh has got those Matrix moves.
And he's sneaky.
Bending around the pinching. It's coming at him, and he's just.
I could see that. Well, thank you guys again for being here tonight. This is going to be a ton of fun. But before we get into our topics for tonight, if you guys have seen, I put a link in the chat. This is Rini's YouTube channel. So the second Max's Man Cave is done, go over to Rini's channel and go support her for Fiendish 2.5. We're going to look over Fiendish 1 and a little bit of 2. Just so that you guys can get an idea of what she produces in her comic books. The type of production value, the quality that you're getting with these books is unbelievable. So we're going to show that to you guys tonight, but please click on that link in the chat. And it's also in the description as well. And I will share out her campaign in just a moment here. But yeah, Rini, if you want to kind of introduce yourself a little bit and tell us a little bit about how you got into this space, how you got into creating comics, because you were an artist first, right? Or were you a writer first?
Complicated question. Well, I'm mostly known as an artist because I worked professionally as an artist for a long time, and I went to art school. I've been wanting to make my own comics since I was 14. Same as every other comic creator out there, except I'm weird because I grew up overseas. So I grew up with manga, and then I came to America for art school, and I've always wanted to make my own comics. So I majored in sequential art. I went to SCAD. I minored in animation. So I've been bouncing around all the entertainment industry for years, but I've wanted to make my own comic this whole time. Worked for Marvel for a short while, realized it wasn't really for me. I didn't want to make comics for other people. Also wasn't it just wasn't creatively fulfilling because industry is a little weird. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. So I decided I would make my own books. And I decided I would try out crowdfunding, kind of just testing things out because I didn't really see any option going with a publisher as enticing at the time. I wanted creative control, and also it was this complicated thing where either I wanted creative control and I couldn't find a deal where I had enough creative control, or the publishers weren't willing to take a risk because what I was pitching was a long form fantasy comic from a creator that had 5 years of industry experience at that point. Then nobody was going to take that, and that's fine. So I went to crowdfunding, and Fiendish has done very, very well. It's all thanks to the backers and the customers and everyone in this space, and I'm very grateful. So now I'm here.
I love it. What a story. Well, thank you for sharing that. We have your project in the chat, so if you guys want a link to her Fiendish 2.5. And Alex VRB, thank you for this. He says the Catch Me Up tier gets you 2 and 2.5, and then the collector tier gets you 3 books. So that is freaking rad. And that is one thing that I continually find is so difficult, is like being able to catch up with a lot of this stuff. So that's great that you offer that.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. Alex is one of my regulars. I appreciate you.
Nice. And we also have a super chat from our one and only George Dimitropoulos. George. For $9.99, dude. Thank you so much for the 10 doll hairs. Almost hit it, just a penny short. Just a little gold thing in the Irish bucket short. But he says, hi everyone. Rini, I really liked the first Fiendish a lot and will back the 2 and 2.5 campaign. George, you were the man. Yeah. Thank you so much. Here, let me see if I can get our applause meter going. Thank you, George.
Yay!
Happy St. Paddy's Day to you, sir.
Happy St. Paddy's.
Yeah, here, let me see if I can share the screen, and I will share your book here while we're talking about since we're talking about it. So this is 2.5. Yes. We have 6 hours left on that bad boy. And George, for your $10, my man, I will give you this.
Here's to feeling good all the time.
Rini, are you a Seinfeld fan?
I've seen some Seinfeld.
No. So then you're a Friends person, right?
Yeah, no? I actually do know a lot of Friends. Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's fair. Well, so here is Fiendish 2.5. This will be ending within the next 6 hours or whatnot. And instead of just showing you guys some of the interior art on the campaign, why don't we go into the actual book itself and look at Fiendish issue number 1. So this came out, you said, about 2 years ago, right?
Just about. This came out in 2022. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
It was drawn way earlier than that. So it's so weird. When I look at this book, this is like 4-year-old art. By the way, I've actually improved a lot since this time. But yeah, it came out in 22, so it's been 2 years.
I will say, so there are very few books within the crowdfunding space that like you see advancements in. Like I would say, Drew, you and I, when your brother Kyle and I and yourself, when we reviewed Wraith of God, like in issue number 2, we could see that there was like improvements made on that book. That was really cool. And with Rini's book, Rini, I gotta say, with volume 2, with issue 2, your art style is wholly unique, and yet it's developed even more so. Like it's even more gorgeous. And I'll show you guys some of my favorite panel layouts and some of my favorite pages here. But yeah, that issue 2 was wild. Here's a great layout of some action that you get in the book. But Rini, maybe talk to us a little bit about your art style, because you said it's more of a manga background, and yet I almost get like a Vinland Saga vibe from this, right?
Yes, I do love Vinland Saga.
Okay,
Very, very good eye. But what's funny is I actually wasn't that into Vinland Saga when I started writing and drawing Fiendish. It was kind of this thing I was working on Fiendish, and it's set in a fantasy world. It had a lot of Nordic and Slavic influences and a few other things, but I essentially built my own fantasy world. And I was like, well, I want to take from a part in like Eastern Europe, but also Anatolia for my primary setting that you don't really see in fantasy that much. Most fantasy is more there's Northern Europe, but also like the British Isles. And I was recommended Vinland Saga after I started writing Fiendish because people are like, "Oh, you like Viking stuff?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I do. I went to Iceland and everything because I just love that kind of stuff." Yeah. So the art style, I don't. It's hard to boil down because it's kind of like I really like Ghost in the Shell. I actually think my style is kind of a lot like the Kenji Kamiyama Ghost in the Shell series. I'm a huge fan of everything the Kenji Kamiyama series, both the 2 TV series and the movie. And I kind of started drawing like that for a while, but then because I went to art school in America, I kind of have an American inking. It's like the Kenji Kamiyama style, and the Seirei Moribito style. Nobody knows what I'm talking about, but with American comics inking. And I also have a little bit of influence from, I really like Mobius's work and Jeff Darrow. That probably only shows
Oh
through when I'm
my
doing
gosh.
backgrounds. But I
Yeah,
was
the Mobius
really
stuff
into
is
Mobius, bro.
beautiful.
Yeah. So that's why I really like backgrounds. It's kind of this like, they're totally different, but I was really into Mobius and also Tsutomu Nihei, who did Blame. And Blame is this far, far futuristic sci-fi manga that's nothing but backgrounds. Nihei is an architect by training, and when I read this manga, I was like, backgrounds can be a character, and I was forever fascinated by drawing backgrounds. So I actually like putting a lot of detail in my backgrounds. So anyways, it's a big mix of a bunch of things from multiple continents, and I don't know how to boil it down, but I just hope it's good. And I'm always trying to improve.
Well, I think you nailed both of those. One, you are improving, at least from what I can see in the books that you've already produced. And two, your style, like I said, is wholly unique because it's like it's taking some of the not the it's taking some of the artistic direction from manga, but you are inputting it into a Nordic place setting, which some people, yeah, would say, oh, well, that's Vinland Saga. But this is like fantasy. It's not like a retelling of history or something. This is its own unique fantasy telling. And one of the things I love at the back of the book, we'll show here in a second, is you created essentially your own language or your own runes. Can you talk to us a little bit more about that as well? Because I'll pull up that page here. But yeah, like, look at these. Are these all yours?
Yeah. So I built a constructed fantasy language. It's called Nanarsa. The whole thing is on the website, actually. So if you go to fiendishcomic.com, I don't have all the world building on there because there's a lot of stuff I'm holding back, but I do have the language there. Go to the About section. There's a drop-down menu on Nanarsa language. I have the whole like PDF or the spreadsheet, and it's a functional constructed language. And I'm the way it works is, okay, I guess I should explain that I decided to make a whole language because I want my goal with Fiendish is I want it to be immersive. And I figured if I'm going to create a fantasy comic and I want my readers to feel like this is a real fantasy world that has nothing to do with our world, it's not even sort of an alternate version of our world, it's not an alternate version of our own history like Tolkien's world is. I wanted to feel like you're in an entire different, I don't know, universe? It's just entirely different. I can't have English as the writing, so I had to have a functional fantasy language. So I'm also a bit of a language nerd. I like studying languages, and I just slowly decided to build this. And it was a lot of fun, actually. Probably seems a little nerdy and crazy for some people, but I enjoy doing this, and I'm thinking of building a couple more, but right now I'm really busy and I don't know when I'm going to find the time, but that might be necessary. So yeah, every chapter, there'll be some, when the characters are speaking, the comic is diegetic. So when the characters are speaking, they're actually speaking Arvosa, which is the common language spoken on the continent where the story is taking place. But Nanarsa is a clerical language. So it's kind of like, I was thinking about, it's kind of like how Mandarin Chinese and local dialects work in the Sinitic languages. In like, I'm from Taiwan, so I know this well. The locals would speak Taiwanese to each other. At least nowadays, it's more common for people to speak Mandarin because the government kind of pushed for everybody to speak Mandarin. But in the olden days, people would speak Taiwanese or Hakka or your local colloquial local dialect, but when it came to any official documents and writing, you wrote it in Mandarin, and it was different form of writing. The writing wasn't the same as what you spoke, and the writing was kind of, think of it like ecclesiastical Latin. That's kind of how Mandarin used to function in the Sinitic languages. So Nanarsa is similar in this continent. So all the writing is in Nanarsa, even though most people don't speak it in daily life, except for people in the shamanic order and certain ethnicities, and I have that in that detail in my story as well. You'll see that some of my characters speak Nanarsa more than the others, etc., etc.
That is so rad.
This is why Irini doesn't fit in the mainstream. Is because she puts too much thought into her work. She's already too smart for the mainstream comic industry.
No, I was okay. Look, so, Rini, I haven't read any of your books, so I will experience them soon. But I was about to say the same thing, because there's so many times that we talk about, a comic that isn't good, that's out in the mainstream, and we'll discuss like very simple just elements that could have made it so much better. And the fact that she's putting so much thought into language, and me being like an English guy that's all about literature, and the fact that she's approaching language the way she is, I'm already excited.
Ooh.
So, and your
Awesome.
art's fantastic. So you're winning across the board.
I was about to say,
I would compare it to Jonathan Hickman, because Jonathan Hickman, he does a great job world building lately. But the problem with Hickman, he forgets to have fun with it. He's good at setting up, but can't have fun with it. Can't tell a good action, kinetic, fun story. Yours has the best of both worlds. Yours has that good Hickman world building setup, as well as having the fun with it too. And I can see that here clearly.
Yeah,
and I've actually given editorial notes on a ton of books, and what I've said about the crowd in the crowdfunding space. I said the biggest challenge that the crowdfunding space is there's so many artists that have come over and have done their own books, but they don't understand story, they don't understand pacing, they don't understand how to like actually craft the story. And I've often said, like, man, I would love to be like involved so that I could help, guide them, say like, look, I know you really like this part, but it doesn't serve the story. You should trim this, you should emphasize this. This is the part that like it will actually hook people. All of those little things that I've learned as a writer, as an editor over the years. But I've often said that Wraith of God and Fiendish are the two books that I don't have any notes on. Like I've read through them, and I've just been caught up in what they are and enjoyed them as a story. I never had a moment where I was like, ooh, that could have been done better. So, that's the highest praise that I can give to what you've produced, just from an editorial standpoint. The beautiful artwork aside, is I think you are telling a very compelling story, and clearly you know what your story is. You know how to do action beats. You know how to do your story beats. All your page turns are great. I've only read the first one. I haven't gotten two yet, but I will jump in on the campaign. Because I am really looking forward to getting back into this world, because I loved the first one so much. I really liked what you were building. So.
Thank you so much. That's funny, because looking back, there are things that I already think I can do better, but I'm always trying to improve, and I do have an editor now. I have test readers. I completely agree. I want more good comics, and one of the issues in the indie space is the stories need to be better, and it's not even that the ideas aren't good enough. It's just having editors and having more writers to help the artists, and I think that would, I think it's not about sort of, I understand it's hard, because if I have an idea, I kind of don't want an editor to come in and mess with it, but I think it's something that artists have to get over. It's about making good comics. So I have to do what it takes.
I have to say time out for a second. You said you have an editor now. Did you put this first book out without having an editor?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That's incredible.
I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying I can't believe it looks as good as it does without an editor.
Yeah.
And that's not a knock on you. That's just I I think a lot of times when you're an artist and you're doing work, you can get lost in the weeds and there's stuff that doesn't translate well because you don't have an outside viewpoint. I'm super stoked to get this and read it. Like I'm freaking excited.
So I think all these guys have spoken something that I would 100% agree on. Two things I wanted to note, and two things that I would love for you to, talk a little bit more about if you want to. But just as like a comic fan, like these little things are what make like us as readers and reviewers and lovers of this like craft. It's what makes us go like, gosh, this person is either having a ton of fun making this, or B, they love this so much that they are like so passionate about this that they really are putting their 100% into this. So I noticed that your onomatopoeias are in your runic language. So whenever you have an action scene like this or whatnot, instead of saying like boom, crash, bang, it's in the runes that you have created. So like this scene right here, which is absolutely stunning, with the shaman, it's like you're reading, you're seeing the runes in action, which plays a lot of part into that and adds a lot of life into that. And the other thing I wanted to note was were your panel layouts. So like, for example, for this, all like on the left-hand page, you have all of those panels leading into our main protagonist's his horror, his nightmare, his memory of what had happened to him in the past, and this thing emerging from his home after the horrific death of his. I don't want to spoil anything, but all of these are kind of graphically leading into what he's envisioning. And then on the right-hand page, you have a layout that could have just been like 4 panels, right? Just 1, 2, 3, 4. And yet you still are able to do it in a way that's dynamic, that's fun, that makes you like the reader kind of read very kinetically. So there's a lot of movement going on a lot of your pages. And I think that may come from some of your manga stuff, because we read Western comics, current like 2024 Western comics, and I do not see any of this in that. So
oh dear, I have no idea because I don't read hardly anything Western nowadays at all. I did when I first moved here.
Neither do we.
Right. There were like a lot of IDW and Image series I like. I always latch onto the non-Big Two stuff. I read only manga now. It's not that I don't want to read Western stuff, but I guess that might be manga, but I think even in Western comics, actually I take a lot from European comics. I'm going through the Elric, Elric of Mildebone. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, that one.
That comic, and one of my favorite American comics is Lock and Key, so I reference that all the time. Like, that book has fantastic layouts. But yeah, manga tends to be very dynamic, especially with the fight scenes, and I think that's part of what people latched onto, on top of a bunch of other storytelling devices. So I like to emulate that.
I also really appreciate. Oh, go ahead, Josh.
I was just gonna say, and Rini, you said you went to you majored in sequential storytelling, or you went to school for sequential storytelling.
Yeah, I went to SCAD.
So did that shape how you kind of do your layouts at all, or?
I don't know.
I guess it's not even more so. I think because you're writing and drawing, you're probably approaching this with like the visuals in mind. But for a lot of people that may not understand, can you give like a brief description of what sequential storytelling actually means? Because I think we all read comics. I think if you don't study comics or look into what's up, I'm saying Max said I couldn't show my face today. So
I said, when we have Rini on, Josh can't be on face cam. I'm sorry. No, I'm kidding.
There is a technical aspect to sequential storytelling that people might find boring, but they don't realize how important and impactful it is, like specifically for comics.
Right. Yeah, I think actually this is interesting because I just did a show. I do like a Thursday show on my channel talking about, it's called The Creative Block. We talk about the creative process, and it's not always about visual storytelling, but it's me and a few other indie creators. Yeah, there you go. Oh, you have it already pulled up. Visual storytelling basics. I just did a presentation on this the other day, and what I did was this exercise I learned in college where you do the same story in 3 panels, and then the same story in 1 page, and then the same story in 3 pages. And I kind of went through and demonstrated, well, what's my thought process for this? How does the shot blocking change, and how do you follow all these basic rules of comics when you have to tell the same story and compress and decompress it across this different time, this different space that you're given? Because all these different, it's not just taking the same shots and using them, putting them in different panel shapes. That doesn't work. You have to think about things like, well, the character, now that this shot of the character walking towards the couple has to happen at the bottom of the page, I have to make sure it's directionally moving left to right, because you want to draw the reader's eye left to right so they'll turn the page to read the next page over. So all these things that you have to think about. Visual storytelling, I call it shot blocking or thumbnailing. That is honestly the most work intensive part of doing comics. All the stuff like drawing it and just making it pretty, that's the dressing, and that's hard, and that takes the most time. But doing the thumbnails, you see those little, oh, perfect, I have my little thumbnails right there. That is probably the most thought intensive part. And what I was taught was, you want your comic to read at the thumbnail stage. You want to be able to tell what's going on without the text. And even if it's tiny, you should be able to tell if a page is a fight scene or if characters have tension with each other just from the paneling and the shot blocking and the camera angles. And if you can get to that point, then you know your thumbnails are good, and then you can blow them up and do all the pretty art, which is honestly secondary. It really helps, but it is secondary because visual storytelling comes first.
This is so rad.
Medium.
Yeah.
This is why I had no notes. Is because of this very thing. Is like you took the time to decide, like, you know, and put so much thought into every aspect of this. I will say that the in your on your site, the one that interested me the most was different head sizes, because if you stand all of us together, we're all going to have different head sizes, with me of course being MODOK sized, but you know, everybody else being somewhat fairly normal. So that's always an interesting one to me. You know, the fact that you know, you get James Silvani and I in a room, and we're the only ones that nobody makes hats for. But you know, like there's so many good rules here that I absolutely love. I'm gonna go watch this, even though I am not an artist, but because I am looking at art all day, you know, I'm sure that there's a lot of things here that I can pick up as well.
Cool.
Yeah, this was so interesting to me. I pulled this up because I figured, you know what, I could watch the stream, or we could have you kind of just, you know, walk through this process with us. But I know that this, you know, took you the whole stream, so we don't need to go into the entire storytelling process, because I know that would, you know, be a whole other evening, and we want to be able to focus on your books. But I mean, we see it right here, right? We see it in your storyboarding. It reminds me of Peter Jackson doing the Lord of the Rings and storyboarding every single panel, every single shot before they even went to primary, primary filming or whatnot. So to see that really puts into perspective the amount of time and effort that you put into this. And I think your fans can say that is what results in such a great product that we're seeing with Fiendish 1, 2, 2.5, and hopefully pretty soon here 3. And so, yeah, like all of the work, all of the thought process that you've put into this really just shows how much you love this. Now, were you working on these characters and some of these storyboards while you were in some of the mainstream stuff? Was this kind of a passion project you were doing behind the scenes?
When it first started, yeah, I started working on it in 2018. I was at the tail end of my Marvel work, and what I was going through was I was really bored with all the work I was being given, and I was being put on Marvel Superhero Adventures and a bunch of other books that just, I mean, I don't know why they put me on the books they put me on. I could have complained more, but my thought process was I've been getting put on a lot of YA books for years, and it was kind of frustrating because I had some YA stuff in my portfolio, but my wheelhouse is fantasy and sci-fi, I think. And I really like drawing more mature stuff. So my intention with Fiendish was, well, I always wanted to have my own comic series, so let me just come up with something. And I love world building, so I started building the world and doing draft after draft. I spent probably a whole year just building the world and going through a lot of iterations for the story idea before even starting to draw it. And the only people who saw it were my Pathfinder group that play D&D and Pathfinder with me. And so, which is funny because I play with a couple of other comic artists, and one of them is now my colorist, so they're really good friends of mine, but they were the only ones who knew about it. And the thought process was, I wanted to show these publishers that I could do something more, and I didn't want to be typecast into doing YA. But then when I finally drew Fiendish, I realized this is all I wanted to do. I don't want to be working for anybody else.
Rainey, are you saying that you didn't like that Marvel was having you draw superheroes eat tacos? Why would that? Why?
I know that's
sitting around and
really
eating and not doing anything.
Controversial. really, that's a hot take, I know. But, actually, I literally drew Spider-Gwen eating cake or going to a candy store, like a cake store candy. I literally drew, and they had a style sheet. It was like this chibi thing, and I like chibi stuff. I think they put me on it because I have a manga influence, so they just assumed that, oh, this is what you like to draw. I'm like, I don't even mind the style as much, and I don't think there's anything wrong with like the YA genre in general. I mean, it's okay we should have more comics for kids and young adults. It was the story content was so boring. Like, there's nothing interesting there. So I just wanted something more.
The number one thing that I have heard from artists, and Drew has heard this as well, is, because we write action-oriented things, we write horror-oriented things, artists come back to us and they're like, oh my God, thank you so much for giving me something interesting to draw. And a lot of them are like, I was working on mainstream books and I'm tired of drawing people sitting in a restaurant eating food. It's so mind numbing and it's so not what I got into comics for. And unfortunately, that's what so many of the artists are being handed. And the quality of your work, this is something that cannot be done in the mainstream, because the way that the grind is, you don't have enough prep time to design things this way, to world build this way. It's like, hey, draw a tower. Tony Stark's got a new tower, so draw that. But nothing interesting is going to happen around that tower. We're going to cut inside of the cafeteria where they're eating. So you're like, oh, fine, I drew a tower. But that's like all you get to do. And here you're getting to design every single building, every single environment. You're getting to think about the architecture, the history of the world. And that's what makes this project stand out above so many and above anything in the mainstream, is because you actually have the time and the passion to be able to put that in.
Well, thank you. I don't know. I want to see more projects like this, though. And I think there's a lot of talk about why is manga selling so much better than American comics. I mean, there's a lot of reasons. There are political reasons, but I think that's more of a symptom than a cause. The cause is general stagnation and fear of risk taking in not just the big two, but in small publishers as well. Because I showed Fiendish to some smaller publishers, and they were like, I heard the same feedback for years. Your stuff looks good, but it's not for us, and that's fine. Like, it's not something that I understand why they said that, but at the same time, in the manga industry, I don't know if something like Fiendish would be picked up. I'm not saying that. Maybe I wouldn't be good enough for the Japanese industry because they have really high standards. But I think someone that is pitching a similar project would have more of a chance, because they are looking for high commitment projects that are by one or a single creator mostly. Look at stuff like One Piece, look at stuff like Vinland Saga, and all the greats. Like, the entire industry is built off, this is a long form project that one creator made, and they have a very rigorous merit-based system where the readers give direct feedback, and the books that aren't selling well or the readers don't like get cut. They pull the readers every week. It's very cutthroat. But because of that combination of we actually want something original that's from one or two creatives, a small creative team with a unified creative vision. They're not afraid of long form work, and it's all merit based. I think that's the core of why they produce such good work, and they're winning in sales. And we're not doing that. We're doing the exact opposite. Everything is, we're scared. We have to do what's safe.
Mm-hmm. And we're stopping and starting every 6 issues because we need to reboot, even if it's with the same creative team. We need to do it again. And it's just a jumping off point. You think of the X-Men and how popular the X-Men got. And it's like, yeah, Chris Claremont was on that book 16 years. That was his baby, and he was building and building and building. And so he had this solid foundation over time that he had created, and that's why those books were so popular. And they were able to live off of that even for a much longer time than they normally would have when he was gone. And now there's no foundation. There's nobody who knows how to build anything. And the only stories that you're getting are just the same repetitive nonsense that none of the Marvel or DC customers are looking for. They're not looking for that. You have such a very small percentage of people that are into this. And so essentially what you've done is you boiled it all down and made it very niche. And if you were aiming for a mainstream audience, then then a publisher could have taken a chance on Fiendish. They could have said, well, the industry is doing so well that, we can gamble and let's check this out. Let's see if we can get this fantasy series going. And you might have had, years and years at a publisher. But it's better this way because you own it. It's your creation. You have creative control. Nobody's going to come in and tell you that, you need to change it up or, you get to do what you want to do. And it's going to result in better work. And this is why the future of comics is independent. It's not at these big companies.
Yes, I 100% agree. And I think this is just the natural cycle of industries and just systems in general. I don't know if I can explain this right, but a lot, if you think about industries and corporations or even government cycles, there's a renewal. Systems stagnate, and what was originally an innovative system, an innovative industry, they grow, they flourish, but then they stagnate, and then the people who aren't the creative types take over, and everything becomes really rigid and scared. But from the shadows of Mordor, the creatives are still going to continue making new stuff, because if you love comics and you have a story to tell, nothing is going to stop you. So I 100% agree with you. I think the rebirth of the industry here, in whatever form it's going to take, is going to come from the indies.
That's rad. Real quick, I do want to shout out Rudy Tag, dude, for $5, a member, and he's got a wrench. He's got it all, dude. Rudy, thank you so much. He says, happy St. Patrick's Day. What a refreshing breath of airtime, finding talent that really cares about what they put out. Shout out to all panelists. Thank you. Maybe with enough green beer, Rudy, but maybe later. But Rudy, yeah, thank you so much for the $5, man. I really appreciate that. And you're right. This is a breath of fresh air. And I hope that for creators out there who are watching Rini, who are watching these live streams, and like when we just pulled up your live stream, Rini, that you did last week, those 3 hours, like if you're a creator, I feel like you could just immerse yourself in that and just learn so much about what you guys are doing as creators. And it should invigorate you. Like this, you should be like, oh my God, there is no better time right now than me to start learning story structure, than to start learning about panels and graphic design and how to edit or how to write and just basic storytelling in general. And I think that is extremely exciting. So like I said, and like Rudy has alluded to here, it is a breath of fresh air. So for you, my man, I will send you this.
Strength and honor. Strength and honor.
What we doing live? Echoes in eternity.
Yeah.
So have you seen Gladiator?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, cool. Shieldwall for 20 months, my dude, almost 2 years. Thank you so much for submitting your membership. He says, amazing panel tonight. Thanks, Max. No, you can thank Rini and Aaron for getting this together. I am no more. I'm just merely the reader. That is all I do. And then I come to you guys and I say, this book is good or this book is bad. And then,
No,
and then we go.
You are the most important. We are nothing without readers.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We also have Zaxx, a member and a mod for 22 months. Thank you, sir. He says, cringe live action trailers just changed the game.
Well, you know, the rule of the
be talking about?
The rule of the industry, Zaxx, is edipt or die.
Edipt or die. That is very true, Zaxx. And thank you for the submitting your membership as well. Yeah, Rainey, do you plan on doing any trailers, or are you just going to stick with your art? I think sticking with your art seems to be a pretty. You are extremely talented in your craft, and I think what you're doing is solid. So.
Oh, trailer. I mean, I didn't have for 2.5, but I take like the comic art and make trailers out of it for the main books. I didn't have time for 2.5, but you know, it's all the comics. The comics.
I would love to see an animated trailer.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Actually, it's kind of like this visual novel, semi half anime. I have trailers for Phoenix 1 and 2 on my channel, but I like doing those. But no, I don't think I don't want to. I'm not thinking of live action or anything because I'm making a comic to be a good comic, not pitching this to Hollywood or anything. None of that. Here for
Rini's dancing with who brought her comics. Damn it.
Yeah.
You know what's so funny, Rainey, is like so Drew, myself, and our friend Kyle, we do a live show on Friday nights and we talk about the modern comics that we've read for this week. And so we subject ourselves to absolute torture because we read Marvel and DC, whatever Marvel and DC books have come out that week. But what we want to try and do is come at it from like an objective position to say, hey, we're going to pick up this book, we're going to read it, and we're going to review it and critique it objectively as best as we can. And most of the time, we find that a lot of these things are not where they need to be. But what's funny is that because we're talking about pitches, most of these books, and Drew, you can I'm sure Drew can list off like 5 of them. Most of these
I'm sorry. I am still fuming after reading the Wonder Woman comic coming out next week. With Wonder Woman and Superman going through an intergalactic space mall, getting pedicures, seeing a movie, eating at a food court. This is legit. I sent you guys the pages. I'm not making this up. You have the pages, guys. You can, I'm not exaggerating.
But I was also going to say, how many times have we read a book that is just a Netflix pitch? That is literally just from Aftershock or Image, and it's just someone who's trying to write a Netflix pitch, and it's like low budget, shitty costuming, terrible production design, but it's like cheap, and they can pitch it to Netflix and be like, "Look, it's a comic book."
You have the most exciting medium in the world where you can do literally anything, and you chose to do this.
Yeah. It's like that's infuriating. I mean, I can't think of examples off the top of my head because, as I mentioned, I haven't read anything current mainstream American. I'm just not interested. But whenever I pick I do check out what's out there. You will see the Netflix pitches because it's a comic that is as safe as possible. That is whatever is hot right now. If vampires are a hot thing, then that it's a vampire comic. If zombies are a hot thing, which it was a few years ago, then that's what it's about. And it all plays very safe, and it'll never push the medium or have any really wild visuals because they want it to be a film set that's low budget, and that's how they draw the comic. And it infuriates me because, like Aaron said, this is a one visual medium where on a very relatively low budget you can make anything happen, and you're playing it safe. Why? Yeah. Also, I am insulted as someone who comes from comics and think there's value to comics over animation, over live action. Something isn't better just because you put it on the screen. Comics has value unto itself. I think comics are literature, and if more people respected it and didn't uphold these people that just make comics to be Netflix pitches, then the medium would be more respected by the general public, just like it is in Asia and Europe, but we're not doing that.
Yeah, did you see when like back home were because I look at something like Miyazaki, like someone like Miyazaki, right? And that's a super basic, thing for me to say, like, oh, Miyazaki, right? Because he's huge here in Western culture. But you do look at something like Miyazaki, and in his home country, I'm sure that people respect his work as much as they would a live action film, because for them, animation is on a similar, level of storytelling. Is that fair to say where you grew up in as well, or did you find that like in your family and your aspect growing up and stuff like that, or no?
Well, Taiwan is weird. So we get a lot of manga and anime,
Okay.
but there isn't a domestic industry. There's more now, but when I was growing up, there was basically no domestic industry. There's just a lot of people that grew up with Japanese comics and shows mixed in with some American stuff. So it was kind of this view where, well, my generation was the first generation to grow up with it, and like my parents' generation kind of viewed it as, well, that's nice entertainment habit. You're not going to make a living off of it, because they don't expect you to like go overseas like me and be very just like fucking dogged about it and like, I'm going to make a living doing comics. I don't care what you say. But in Japan there is that respect, because I've done conventions in Japan, and they call comic creators sensei, like teacher. It's a term. Like, do they do that here? No. And
No.
I haven't done any conventions in Europe, but I heard that when they do conventions there, they're essentially gallery shows. They treat comics like art, like gallery art. There's a certain level of respect. And to me, I respect the medium on the same level, and I hate seeing it when it's treated like crap, which seems to be what's happening here. I want it.
It's also sad because someone who has put in so much work into your craft and into your world, to where you've created a map and you've created a language and you've created these characters in this universe and stuff, and then you get these lazy hacks who just go like, yeah, it's just an average dude wearing some regular clothes on a Hollywood set, and I'm gonna write a comic about that. And it's like, how can you call yourself a comic book creator when I'm doing this stuff over here and changing the game, and you're doing this, and it seems a little self-serving for those people to just go, oh, I'm just going to do this to get a Netflix pitch or whatnot, without any respect of the craft, thinking that, oh, the only respectful way of storytelling is through live action. And that's what they're so focused on. When you can do I know comics that have brought people to tears. I don't know if you've ever experienced something like that, Rainey, when you're reading or drawing, but like, I know that there are people out there who have really literally felt moved by some of the comics that they read. So, it is legitimate. And I think people forget about that.
I remember getting literal chills, like running down my spine, reading that Frank Miller Wolverine book. And when Wolverine comes back to Clan Yashida, and you've just got that moment where he's like torn through all their guards. He's been humiliated by the head of the clan, and it's just him standing in the courtyard, and he goes, Shingen, am I worthy now? And it's like, it's ready for the big throwdown. And I remember seeing that panel and just being like chills going through my body and being like, oh shit, it's about to go down, and there's nothing coming out now that gives me that same sense of wonder that catches me up. Certainly not from Marvel or DC. The closest we're getting is the Energon universe, where I'm going, okay, this is badass because they actually respect the characters and they're doing something interesting with it. But that's the only thing that's coming out right now that gets that kind of reaction. And I miss that, because that used to be the norm in comics. You had some bad comics, but they were not the rule. They were the exception. The rule was that everything was awesome because you had people who came in who had a love of this stuff, who wanted to tell the best stories possible. And when they were handed an icon like Superman and Wonder Woman, their first thought wasn't, what if we sent him to Space Mall? Footsie wootsies is funsy onesies. It's like, what? You're being handed some of the greatest icons of all time, that have this rich American tradition behind them, of this medium. And this is what you do. This is what you gave us. Congratulations.
Yeah,
it's sad.
Yeah, I think we've all experienced those types of moments. Off the top of my head, I come from manga, so I'm thinking of all the moments from Berserk, which is a lot of them that are just gut punches.
So good.
Especially, of course, the eclipse, but after the eclipse, like when Guts realizes Casca is potatoed, like that feeling. I mean, my God. And then FMA, every time Ed or Al are in danger, their fear for each other, you care about these characters, and that's why it's like this. The medium of comics can be so emotive. It can tell stories in a way that I think live action and animation can't. It's a beautiful medium into itself. And I wouldn't say like, I don't want to sound like I'm coming from a high horse, like, oh, I'm doing the medium right or anything. But, and if people want to, like the people that are making comics as Netflix pitches, you guys have a right to make your comics, but I feel like it's being sold as something that it's not, right?
Right.
Like why is this system merit based? Because in the indies, I see not just what I'm doing, but I see tons. Like, look at Wraith of God, that's amazing. Why isn't this in every comic store? Why is this on every shelf? And so many other people that are making really amazing work. My friend Narwhal, why aren't his books everywhere? He does really good work as well. So it's just very confusing that it's not a merit-based system. Those people that are making really basic comics that are Netflix pitches, you have a right to make comics, but it's being almost elevated beyond what it really is. It's like, we clearly know it's nepotism, and I don't want to be sold crap.
Yeah, no.
If Aaron and Narwhal worked harder at blackmailing the publishers, they would probably get jobs.
Right? Yeah, that's what we all have to do.
If I well, you know what? Look, I've said plenty of insulting things about Tom Brevoort and CB Cebulski, but apparently I don't have the cachet to get that sweet Alyssa Wong gig where I just get handed something, not because not because they're familiar with my work, but just because I called them some names and they're embarrassed about it. You know what? That's fine. I've often said. I don't mind being on the blacklist for those companies, because the companies, the Marvel and DC that I wanted to work for are long gone. They don't exist anymore because they're being run by imbeciles. And so until you get a complete purge and you get a return to just people who have some common sense and want to actually sell books, until that returns to those companies and they restore what was there before. I think Richard recently just did a video where he was referencing a Perch video, which was like, just take the best elements of each timeline and create a new timeline and go from there. And people will come back to the books. Just cut all the nonsense. But the problem is that they're so politically motivated and there's so many activists within the company, they cannot do that. You can't ever go back because the 12 people will scream on Twitter, and that's what they're terrified of. But we see again and again, just like with J.K. Rowling and the Harry Potter game, they have no actual financial power. They don't have the power to actually damage you if you ignore them. Their only power is when you give it to them by treating them like their voice matters, like they're enough of a voice to actually damage you. If you give them the power over you, if you fear them and you give them that over you, you're going to fail. But all you have to do is ignore them and you'll succeed.
Yeah.
Once you ignore...
I'm sorry,
go ahead. I was just going to say, once you ignore crazy people yelling at you moralizing at you on the internet, it becomes really easy, because it becomes apparent that your sales won't go down. If you listen to them, your sales will go down. If you don't listen to them and listen to your actual customers, who are mostly quiet and not moralizing at you and not on Twitter all day long, you'll do fine. It becomes very easy. Like, I understand what it's like to have, the mob come after you, and it's stressful, but get over yourselves. Like, these people aren't important, right? Put the comics first.
Yeah, you have somebody who most of the industry is terrified of. Most of the industry is terrified to speak out against this person, and you had that person come after you and try and incite a mob against you. And what happened? And a bunch of weirdos came after you, but at the same time, a bunch of like-minded people who are tired of this stood up around you and said, "No, absolutely not. We're not going to let you attack her. We're going to defend her, and we're going to buy her book, and we're going to support her." And you gave your audience something beautiful. because you didn't give into the pressure. You didn't let some idiot who will never put a butt in the seat, who will never be able to sell a comic because they don't know what they're doing. You didn't let them get to you. And that's the secret about what you have to do. Everybody you don't need the big two. I mean, we all love Captain America. We all love Superman. We all love Batman. Those characters are all currently being held hostage, and there's nothing you can do about it. So instead of focusing on that, go out and tell your own stories and have your own success. And eventually these companies will keep shrinking until there's a huge firing, and they'll either go out of business or they'll get recreated. And then if you always wanted to work on that character, guess what? They'll be coming to you because you have a proven track record of success. But if they never come to you, who cares? Because you're living your dream. You're telling your stories and your characters, and there's no idiot editor coming and telling you, no, you can't do that. You're like, the hell I can't. Watch me.
That's right. I want.
And honestly, Rini, we thank you for being that person to say, like, I'm not going to let this happen to me. I'm going to make my comics no matter what, because of your strength and tenacity. And, you know, I don't want to sound virtuistic and be like, oh, you're so courageous, you know, like, but literally, like when an entire internet mob is attacking you, there's some courage against that, whether people recognize it or not. I've put out videos before where people, you know, post my thing on Reddit and they want to cancel me. And, you know, that happens. And it is not a good feeling. And it's weird to have that happen. So to kind of stick up to the bullying or the cancel pigs of this generation, it's not something easy. And for you, you're also kind of putting your heart and soul into this, because you're not just putting out a tweet, you're putting out your art, you are putting out your craft. And so speaking of which, I do want to plug your stuff again, because if you guys haven't seen, this is Fiendish chapter 2.5. If you want, you can get all 3 books right here. 1 is all the way to the right, 2 is in the middle here, and then 2.5 is the one on the far left. And you guys can go back this right now. And if you don't mind, Rini, I'll kind of give a quick synopsis of book 2, and then we'll read the synopsis for 2.5. Okay. So last time on Fiendish, or I guess in chapter 2, 9 years ago, mysterious demons attacked the remote village of Dorvo. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay. All the names I'm going to pronounce. If I pronounce them Icelandically, do not kill me, or if I do not pronounce them correctly. Okay. Leaving a boy named Casimir, right? Okay. As the sole survivor, after escaping the massacre, Casimir found a new life as a reclusive hunter near Alstad and tried his best to leave his nightmares behind. However, one day a strange murder in the woods leads Casimir to believe the demons of his past have returned. Casimir and his apprentice Iskel set out to track the demon in question and encounter the monster as it ambushes a theater caravan. In the ensuing battle, most members of the caravan are slain, leaving a Deiv girl named Yaomi. I think that's correct, Yaomi. As the Yomi. Okay, thank you.
This is fine. Those are hard.
Yomi as the only person standing. Realizing that he can no longer run away from his past, Casimir vows to find the truth behind the demons and sets out to avenge his family. And then in 2.5, we leave off kind of after 2. After his hometown of Dorvo was destroyed, Casimir is saved by the reclusive hunter Okto. Okto, and taken in as an apprentice. However, being Okto's student is no easy task, and Casimir is additionally tormented by the guilt of surviving the bloodshed that killed his family. Young Casimir must discover how to overcome his trauma and hopefully find purpose in life again. So this is like a deep dive into Casimir's backstory. Is that what 2.5 is essentially?
Yeah, that's essentially what it is. I originally planned for this to be part of the main books, but I realized when structuring, because I kind of wrote the whole story in one just blob of prose, and then I started doing the chapter breakdowns, and I realized I had a lot of 0.5 stories. I was going to take this out, plus a few other chapters that were side quests and stuff, because I was trying to pare down everything to be just the main plot. I want to trim the fat. I want to focus on the main story and not get distracted. But I realized that a lot of the flashback chapters or the flashback stories, like this chapter 2.5 is the whole thing is a flashback to Casimir's past, and a few of the other side quests, and I have a few other 0.5 chapters that are flashbacks for other characters. They were really they were compelling character development stories that I wanted to tell, that I thought I could split off from and kind of put between the main chapters. As if you know manga, it's like a gaiden. These are the 0.5 chapters are gaidens, and those are the only chapters that I hire other people to draw. So 0.5 isn't my interior art. I have my artist Michael Rushbrook on it. He did an amazing job. I did do a couple of the covers though. And I always draw the main books. So that's what the 0.5 chapters are. It's a character exploration, but we see the explanations for a lot of the plot points. Some of the plot points, especially the character stuff, but there's also a little bit of world building that will resonate with the main books, both in chapter 2 and also I'm setting up some stuff for chapter 3. You'll understand if you read it.
Okay. Well, I got to tell you, well, first of all, this was kind of a little outtake because I was reading chapter 2, and one of the main things I took from chapter 2 was just how much we get with character work. Like your character work and your character development, I was very surprised with, because chapter 1, we're just getting introduced to this world, we're just getting introduced to these characters, but there's still a lot of action. It's really kinetic and it moves quickly, which I thought was great. And for not having an editor, the dialogue was extremely smooth, which I thought was fantastic. And then we get into chapter 2, and the character development is much more intense. We really get to understand who these people are, why there's such prejudice against Yomi, right? Is that I keep pronouncing it incorrectly. I apologize, but
it's fine. It's a weird name. Yeah, it's Yomi. I should just change it to Yomi.
Okay.
So these people keep
saying. And like I think what I like about it the most is how distinct each character is, because Casimir's is kind of hard ass. Iskel, I think, in my personal opinion, I think he's more of like the heart and the Superman and the optimist of the group. But then you get Yomi, and her kind of struggle is like, where do I fit in? How am I going to survive without being sold to slavery? But I also have to make a name for myself. I can't just feel bad all the time about myself. I actually have to, do something about this to avenge my family. And how am I going to do that? So each one of them have distinct motivations and distinct like characteristics that I like a lot. But here's the outtake I was talking about for my second book. So I tried making a video
so cute.
with your book, and he kept getting in the way. And so I was like, no, move, get out.
Gideon is always like, it's the Gideon show.
It really is. It really is. And then he just laid on your book. And I was like, no, you can't do that.
Take that as a compliment.
Yeah. So he thought it was playtime.
He's like, he's like, Dad, why are you touching that when you could be touching me?
Exactly. He's like, why are you focusing? Why are you trying to read this comic book, Dad? Why do you need you need to play with me? Come on. So that was take 1, because he was not enjoying the fact that I was trying to actually do work. Videotape your book. Hold on, let me see if I can pull up the actual book. Here we go. So this was the 24-hour variant. Is this on eBay anywhere? Is this like on your website anywhere? Or was this just for that campaign?
This was just for the campaign. My campaign covers are campaign exclusive for new books. Caveat, for if a book is launching, then all those campaign covers are campaign exclusive, and I print a permanent market cover. I call it like the perma cover afterwards. That will always be like, regardless of, even if it's Fiendish 4, Fiendish 1 will still have the same perma cover going forward. And Fiendish 2's perma cover just came out. That's the new print run that is currently being printed. So campaign covers are the bunch of variants. The afterwards, just one cover forever. That's how I've structured things. So this is only available for 24 hours for chapter 2. No more.
Sweet. Well, I wonder if there are any prospectors or speculators on the secondary market that are going to take your stuff and maybe go $100, $200. You want it $300, But
I'm not that famous yet.
Well, now
that would be great.
now I want it. Like now I want
I
it.
know.
Like, I didn't know that you did 24-hour campaign covers, and now I'm like kicking myself because I'm like, why didn't I go in on that? I'm an idiot.
No,
No.
it's awesome. Well, so let me then ask you this, because for those of us who are maybe just finding you for the first time, or maybe some of us who are just hopping on this campaign or getting to understand this book a little bit, will we have a campaign 24-hour exclusive for number 3?
Yes. So,
Okay.
if you go to the website, this will make all the cover stuff very clear. I have a cover guide on the website.
Oh.
fiendishcomic.com, which I'm not sure why I don't think I've seen anyone else do that, but it's very useful. All the way on the right, there's a cover guide.
Oh, perfect.
So right there. So here are all the variants. The first one is the permanent market version. So there you go. Okay. That's the permanent market cover. So that's the forever cover. And then the next one will be the 24-hour cover. And these white on black covers I decided, it wasn't this way for Fiendish 1, but I decided going forward for Fiendish 2 and 2.5 both had these black on white designs, and this is going to be a thing. So the 24-hour variants will always be this look. These white on black diamond illustrations that are only available for the first 24 hours on the campaign, and anything that you go further right on are the other campaign variants. I try to keep it, I don't want to do more than 5. I feel like I'm annoyed when people do a ton of variants, so I don't want to like flood people with that. But 4 or 5 variants for every chapter is what I'm doing. That was the main campaign cover. For 2, I had a few more. 2.5, I have 4, and that's it. I'm not going to do any more. I'm not going to be like, ooh, with chapter 3, there's a new chapter 2 cover. No, none of that. It's just the permanent cover going forward. Yeah, that was one of the campaign. So all the campaign covers are exclusive. They're never going to be printed again. I
love your shaman figure. Like her look, and I'm sure everyone loves her as well.
Yes, she's very popular. But wait till you get to meet her more.
I can't imagine why, right? But these look absolutely gorgeous.
Again, the best compliment that I can give, aside from story, for your book, Rini, is the fact that I want to make custom action figures of all the characters. All the character designs. Like that's something that I do. Is I make custom action figures, and we do 3D modeling, and we print print stuff like that. And it's like I want figures of all of these characters.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, that I 100. I mean, I have all these plans, or not plans, but just in my head ideas. I want action figures. I want a game, but I am too busy drawing the comic. Someday it'll happen.
Someday.
That'll be so cool.
But now you've inspired me, because I'm like, well, I need to do a 24-hour cover for Doomface, and I think I know what I'm gonna do.
Do it, yeah. I think people really like that. It's a collectible, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and something that's like, hey, you guys jumped in like right away. Like, I've already got like special things that are for people that signed up for the mailing list, and things like that. That they're gonna get their like little extras that'll ship with their book if they buy in on it. But I love the idea of a 24-hour cover and just doing something special that's like never gonna get reprinted again.
Cool.
Yeah, and I'm bummed that I missed out on the 2.5, because I'm looking at this and I literally it just hit me, and I went, wait a second. I know where that's from. At least I thought I did, because I don't want to show too much, but isn't it in this house?
Yes.
Yeah, it's in there. I won't show the actual page, because I don't want to show too much. But yeah, it's hung up in this house. I don't know what it is though, so I guess we'll find out in 2.5. So
you will.
Cool.
See, Josh just ordered, so he's Josh is going to order. So he's like, no spoilers, Max, no spoilers, stop it.
Yeah, Josh is.
He'll kick you in the front butt.
Ooh.
No.
Now, I wanted to show my favorite page of issue 2, and it's right here. Surprisingly, I don't know why it was this one, but it just captivated me. It's the layout of her eyes tearing up as she's watching the funeral pyre of her family after they were just after the previous issue and what happened to them in the previous issue. 2 questions: do you color your own work, or do you have someone coloring it? And 2, what are some of your favorite panels from issue 1 and issue 2 that you can show us?
I do not color my interiors. I color my own covers, but I'm too slow for interior colors. My interior colors is Nick Zamudio, my old friend from college. He's amazing. As you can see, he's amazing. And he's, I mean,
great.
we've been working together for so long, and I ink in a weird style, and he knows how to work with it. Like, I can't say enough how much I appreciate him. He's really great. And I'd say favorite panels. I do really like that one. When I was advertising the comic, I used that page all over the place.
Oh, did you? Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Cool.
I mean, I knew it would look cool in advertising, and also like I try to get like the pages that are good for advertising done first, so I can start posting them. But also the that page where of Easkell and the dead guy and the flashback in the background that's later on. That's probably a little spoilery, but I actually posted that. But if someone in chat wants to buy it, don't show it because it'll spoil the story. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I really like that one, and just the let's see, the whole, and then that page where Yomi is walking through the town a little bit after what you just showed, where she's trying to figure out what to do. I was really happy with how that turned out.
Okay. Yeah, these are and a lot of the facial expression, a lot of the characterization of these here's another little cool little spoiler teaser. Is that the scar that is on Easkell on his door because he's marked with the curse, or no? Or is that something different? Okay. I noticed the same mark, and I was like, oh, is that because of his curse? They've now marked his actual door because of how, kind of ostracized he is from this community. But
yeah, that's exactly. I don't really elaborate on it, but you got it. I'm glad that came across.
Yeah. Oh, I noticed it, and I go, okay, that's going to come up later. There's some reason for this being here, but and then we do get a little bit of elaboration in the rest of the book, but I won't spoil it too much. And I do want to shout out to our main man, DJ Smith, for $2. What is happening, dude? I wish I had my DJ air horn on me. That bwah, 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 bwah. But instead, we'll give you a nice applause. How much for an Aaron Sparrow figure? Ooh, so this is a good question. Now, DJ, do you mean a figure of Aaron Sparrow, or do you mean a figure made by Aaron Sparrow? Either way, Aaron, do you have a price point that you're willing to negotiate?
It just depends on like what, if you want me to customize something for you, it just depends on my schedule and how elaborate the thing that you want customized is. If you want an action figure of me, we've tried to do a head sculpt of me, but it just uses so much resin.
I mean, I think you could probably find not a custom, but you could probably find a bearded Viking and probably put him on an El Beardo Magnifico figure. There we go.
There you go. It's funny. Josh made fake Funko Pops of all of us on like their website.
Oh, that's right. Oh my gosh.
But I prefer something a little more action oriented. But I've been looking at custom pieces because I want to make a recluse for Drew, and I'd love to make like I said, I'd love to make figures of all of Rainey's figures, and I've had it in my head to make my own custom set of like Jawbreakers, from Richard's book, just because I like those character designs. Yeah, that's like I'm such a figure guy that when I see characters that I like or designs that I like, I'm like, oh, that'd be a cool figure. I want to make a figure of that, not only for my collection, but then what a cool gift it would be to send to the creator, because they don't often get stuff like that, and it's pretty exciting.
Do you do the modeling? Do you do 3D modeling and then you print them out?
Yeah, I do some. So we've got a couple of guys that we work with that are like really, really good. And then my friend Jesse and I, we can do like little minor, I'm still learning it, but we can do little minor things. But for a figure that I really wanted to like, I would still hand that off to one of the people that we work with to have them do it. But then, we 3D print it, and then I paint them. And that skill I have mastered, so I can paint a figure and make it look really good.
Awesome.
I was gonna say too. So on the topic of storytelling and on the topic of creating our own characters, creating these worlds, and whether they be figures like action figures or comic books or whatnot. Which, by the way, once again, DJ Smith, thank you again for the $2, brother. Really appreciate your donation. And thanks for the question too, because that is a good question. Speaking of all that, Josh, I know that you have your own characters that you actually did like a full Twitter thread on. Could you speak a little bit more to that as well? Because I know that that's something that you've always almost wanted to do, that you have fleshed a lot of these characters out behind the scenes that we may not even hear about. Is there something that you could tease or something that you've gleaned from your time writing about that stuff and how that factors into, like, do you think you could do comic books? Do you think you could do screenplays? Do you think you could do, I don't know, what would that be best for?
So most of my background in writing comes from screenplays, and I think the bad thing about how I'm approaching a lot of these stories is it's very character driven, and it wouldn't necessarily work well for comics for the reason we were talking earlier. In comic books, you have pretty much an unlimited budget to do whatever you want, so you don't really want a bunch of issues of people sitting around and talking. If you had like the right artist, you might be able to get some of that in there, but for the main thing I'm working on right now, Identities, it's an espionage spy thriller, so you could have some action, but it's also weighted very heavily in just the moral weight that these characters have to go through, because the fact that they have their own moral compass, but they have these tasks that they're being forced to execute. And it's split twofold. You've got a CIA agent that you focus on and an FBI officer that you focus on. So you're kind of getting to see the approach from the American side of things, the approach from overseas, how both units kind of have to cooperate with each other, how different intelligence systems within the United States and other countries have to cooperate with each other. But yeah, I mean, for me, I like I said, my writing is always character driven, and a lot of times when I'm writing my scripts, I will have an idea for a story in mind, and then as the characters more fleshed out and developed, and I start writing, the characters will course correct my story, because I'll realize this character would not do this.
Yeah. So
and
did
you've seen this, Max, but I tend to.
He does tend to trail off.
A little robot-y. Say again.
We've lost Josh, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh no!
Oh, my internet.
There we go.
No,
you just
now we can hear you.
But we lost you at, you said I tend to, and then you were gone.
Yeah.
Come back to us.
Use your energy, chat. No! Use your energy. Use your energy. And
return.
Bring Josh back to us. Oh.
Everybody, take a shot. Too. Take a shot for our fallen brother, Josh.
Yeah.
I shall. No. I haven't been drinking. What am I doing? All right.
Yeah, we need to. Yeah, we need to get you drinking for your stream after this.
So here is this. Now the base figure is actually a Mythic Legions figure from the Four Horsemen, which are great fantasy figures, and they're all they all pop apart and are really good, really good for customizing, which is one of the reasons that I love them. But this is actually a custom head sculpt that we did of a goblin. I wanted like a goblin rogue, so this is like something that we did, and we do stuff like this all the time. If you guys are on Instagram, just go over to Big Head Studios Customs, and you can see all the stuff that we're doing over there.
Those Mythic Legions, dude, or is that, did I say correctly? Mythic Legions, yeah. Mm-hmm. Those things are so rad. When I was seeing those at the conventions, those were so like just the sculpt and the design on those things are so creative. So,
well, even when you came over to help me move that piece of furniture, and you came in, you like walked right over to my desk and were like, "What is all this?" Because I've got all these like painted heads and bodies and custom figures on the desk that I'm working on.
100%, yeah. Just too, because I had no idea that there were that many different sculpts. But, Josh, look at that beautiful face.
Look at that.
I'm sorry that your internet is being dumb and that it's not interacting with or that it's not being cooperative. But you left off where you were saying you tend to do something with your characters, and what is that thing that you tend to do?
Oh, I tend to cast my characters, so I will pull actors, especially since I come from more of a film and television writing background. I will cast actors because to me they will give them more of a voice that is different than how I view things. So for me, that's another step that I'll take. But yeah,
that's the best advice that I ever got from Tad Stones, and I got a lot of good advice from Tad Stones. But he told me, James and I came up with a character for Darkwing, and we pitched it to him, and he said, "Well, who's the voice actor?" And I said, "What do you mean? It's comics." And he goes, "But if you decide who you would cast as your voice actor, that will inform the character." And then James and I talked about it, and we were like, "Well, this character is Joe Pesci." And then so I went back and I completely rewrote all of the character's dialogue because I was like, okay, how would it sound as if Joe Pesci was playing this character? And it was funny. I actually saw Rob Paulson at a convention, and we were talking about it. Oh yeah, there we go. What are you drinking? What are you drinking?
This is Suntory World Whiskey.
Suntory! I knew it!
This was a gift
nice.
from a frequent viewer, so thank you, Tokumi. Yeah, it's great.
That's my favorite. That's actually my favorite whiskey, is Suntory.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah, it's really good. I love it. Had to go get some ice. But cheers! Happy St. Patty's, everybody.
Yeah, happy St. Patty's Day, everyone. Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. This is super fun. So, yeah, cheers to everyone out there drinking. If you are, cheers, and if not a problem. At least you're out here celebrating with us, and we love that. So thank you.
I envy Max's hat. I've got such hat envy right now.
It's okay. It makes my head look smaller because the hat is bigger. So yeah.
You don't look like you got a giant hat. I don't know what people are talking about.
I'm just being dorky.
I was gonna say Jamiroquai. He reminds me of Jamiroquai.
Jamiroquai. That's a name I've not heard.
That's a name drop, yeah. Nadia, who's in the chat, who's one of our frequent viewers, she said something to the effect of that I finally found a hat that fits. Ha. Good one, Nadia. Love you, Nadia. We'll see you for your birthday this week. So we love our chatters.
It's this Wednesday, right?
It is, yeah, this Wednesday. So happy birthday to our girl Nadia. And speaking of our chatters, here is Alex VRB, and I know that he's a huge supporter of you, Rini, right? I mean, he's always in y'all's chats and stuff, yeah.
He is a well-known #1 backer. He's always like first one. I don't know how he does it, and he's always in the chat. So shout out to you. You're awesome.
Dude, that is so rad. Well, Alex, dude, thank you for coming over here and supporting us tonight and, supporting our girl Rini. So that is very kind of you, sir. For $5, he says, there's something you should know about Rini. Oh, no, Rini, what is this? She has a dark secret. Oh, my gosh. Chat, this is exclusive. What are we going to find out? Oh, God. She believes you should respect the fans. Oh, my gosh. Especially hardcore fans. Wow.
Heretic.
It's a horrible dark secret. Yeah. I know now it's out there.
Blasphemer.
Never at Marvel again. Never, ever.
Well, no. I'm pretty sure never.
Yeah.
At this point, whatever.
That's okay.
You know what? They need talent like you far more than you need them. So that's their loss. That's their stupidity. This is fantastic. This is actually, this is what we all believe, is that comics is a customer service business. You should respect your fans. You should respect your customers. They are the people that allow you to do the thing that to live your dreams. So this is an opinion that I put out on the internet when this whole infighting and backlash against the fans started. And this is what got me a message from Mark Waid saying, "I didn't realize you were Comicsgate adjacent now." And I was like,
what does that even mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Comicsgate adjacent. If you
no, his exact words. No, I'm sorry. You know
adjacent, standing next to them, yeah.
In fairness, I just misquoted him. What he actually said was, he said that he didn't realize I'd become a Comicsgate apologist. And all I said was that comics were a customer service business, and that if you weren't willing to respect the fans and treat them with respect, then you shouldn't be in the industry, because at the end of the day, you are asking people to spend their hard-earned money on a product that you produced. And if you can't give them a simple respect of a customer, then you didn't have any business being in, that's who you work for. I don't care that a publisher is paying you. The publisher is paying you to sell books. So your end customer are the people that buy and read the books, and you need to treat them with respect. So
100%. Yep.
Well, thank you again, Alex, for the $5, man. Thank you for your support, like I said, of our girl Rainey, and thank you for coming over here tonight. You're more than welcome always on this channel, and we appreciate the super chat. And then we also, and thank you for telling us her deep, dark secret. You know what I mean? Like, who would have known that respecting the fans would have been such a torturous, endeavor.
Well, that's what really sets the indies apart from the mainstream. I mean, there are creators in the mainstream who do still seem to keep their head down. They're there for comics, but it's few and far between. And I think if you're going to succeed, especially in the indie space, respecting the fan is the #1 rule. Like, it doesn't matter if it's criticism. It doesn't matter what they throw at you. Put the fans first and listen to what they have to say and give them what they want. It's not, of course, your creative vision matters, but also, what are their preferences? All this stuff. And it all comes down to just, they're giving you their money, just like Aaron said. Respect that.
Yeah. What's funny is, like, I don't know your background in Western comics, and like, I know that you kind of grew up on manga and stuff, but I always remember reading with Western stuff in the 90s, you'd go to the back of the book, and in the back, it was the mail call, right? So it was all the fans sending in their mail, and it was like, hey, I love this issue, or I love the last issue, and what's going to happen with this character? Or how do you think that this thing is going to play out? And the publishers and the writers, or whoever was on the editing team, would more than likely respond back in that letter section of the comic book and would say, hey, thank you so much for your comment. This is how this character is going to play out next, or like, this is what we're thinking for this thing. And they would even respond to criticism. They would post that in the comic. And I did a video.
Really? I didn't know that.
I did a video last year on the channel where I basically cracked open like 3 random Marvel books, and I looked at some of the mail calls, like some of the mail that had been sent into the editors. And one guy was like, the last issue of Wolverine was the worst issue I have read from you guys. You completely got rid of the character's motivation. You killed off Mariko, so now he has no, all these different things, right? And the editors, believe it or not, responded with respect, and they said, hey, thank you so much. We hope that you continue reading. We are sorry that you feel this way, but we promise you that Wolverine will be back in this next issue better than ever, and he will still have his motivation. And it's like, how hard is it to do something like that? It feels like that is so, otherworldly to us now, because that's something that we've never really experienced in the 2012, 2014 was
right
really when it
about
started.
there.
Yeah. But,
2011, 2012. And it's hard if you have a giant ego when you think you're above everybody else, or you think that, I think there's this illusion, especially having worked in Marvel and in the mainstream versus going indie and experiencing a different side of how the comics business can be run. I think that in Marvel and DC and in these publishers, the impression that creatives have is, I'm working for the publisher, and the fans are just there to, they're irrelevant. They're not my customer, so when people like Richard say, you're a hot dog salesman and the customers are important, they're like, what do you mean? My customer is the publisher. The publishers are the ones that are hiring me, and they got where they are by kissing ass to the publishers. So not by putting the craft first, and not by listening to the fans. And I think that's, again, it's one of those, well, is it a symptom or is it a cause? But that's part of why things are so messed up, because all you have to do is really listen to the fans. At the end of the day, they're the ones that the money filters through the publishers and makes our careers possible. So it is so important to respect a customer. And I will say, I've gotten criticism for Fiendish. Not everybody loves Fiendish. I'm really grateful that you like it. I've had a lot of people who like it. The fact that the campaigns are still doing so well is testament to that, but it hasn't been for everybody. And I always say, tell me if you have criticisms. I am okay. In fact, I would love to see critical videos. I had somebody do a video saying, well, 1 was better than 2, but I spotted a tiny typo, and like this part, this and that wasn't for me. And my response is, thank you for buying the book. And thank you for finding that mistake. I can't believe I didn't spot it. I will fix it in the reprint, and I will publicly respond that way. I want to see that criticism. I don't care if it's out there. It's not an attack on my business, or it's not discouraging other people from buying the comic. It's just honesty. I will do better next time. And if you take that approach, then your work will get better, because it's about the comics first, not about your ego.
Yep. Well, you also,
I don't know.
you know. Oh, sorry. I was going to say you didn't take it personally. You understand that comment is about your work, not about you directly. So you didn't, decide to get defensive and put up walls and,
I mean, I get that it's hard because a lot of us are like creators are very invested in their work, but I can understand that. But if you put the work first, then it's not about you anymore, right? I understand it's hard, but it's better that way.
And not everything that you do is going to work for everybody. It's like, and pursuing that is kind of a fool's errand. Like you should aim for like the broadest range of fans possible, but you have to go into it understanding that not everything you do is going to resonate with everybody. Not every choice you make with a character is going to be where that particular person wanted them to go. And that's fine. I still get flack to this day. People mad that, we, of what we did with Quackerjack in Darkwing Duck. Now, granted, I never got to finish that story. Quackerjack's story was a long form story that was going to take place over several arcs. And we never got a chance to finish that. But, people just focused in on the change from the show. Like, you made him darker, and we don't like that. Well, the reason that we made him darker was because that was Tad Stone's original vision for him. And when the voice actor came in and he did the voice for it, when Rob Paulson came in Rob Paulson was Steelbeak. When Mike Bell came in and did the voice for Quackerjack, he did it very goofy. So they started writing to that. And what I would tell people was, I understand that you didn't like it, but where you have to, and I accept that, but where you have to stop is stop trying to convince me that I don't like what I was doing, because you're never going to convince me of that. And you guys didn't get to see the full thing. But it's, I always try to do it in a respectful way until people get disrespectful. And then it's like, okay, well, then we're done here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what's so interesting too is that, you have criticisms that, you'll have people that'll come to you and they'll say, you know what, manga isn't just for me. Like, maybe that style of artwork just isn't for me. And that criticism, it's not like you can change your art style, because for me, that's one of the things that I really love about your book, right? Is that because it is so unique. Whereas like there are criticisms that will come to you and they'll say, hey, actually, this plot point or this story beat might actually work better here, or maybe, this panel layout might be better. So like things where they're actually constructive that you can like fix or work on, or come to develop more. That stuff is what makes creators like 1,000 times better, and it actually makes better product too, and hones your craft, like you were saying. So. That's something that we do with Drew. When Drew comes out with comics, because he's done, Drew, what you've done now, Born of Blood, and now you're on Unholy Nightmare, and you've worked on countless other scripts for different books that you guys have published. But one of the things that I continually hear from Aaron and Joe is how good you are at taking criticism and then making those changes and those fixes and applying it. Because like someone can say, oh yeah, I hear you. I appreciate it or whatever, but I'm not going to do anything about it. Right. It's like, well, then why are you, so do you want to talk a little bit about that and how you've developed your honing your skills and like taking criticism and then applying it to the book? Do you want to talk a little bit about that, or
was that for Drew or Rainey?
That's for you. That's for you, Drew.
That was for Drew.
I wasn't sure who that's for. I was like, that was very long. I'm like, is that for me or Rainey? Because I'd love to hear how you do that, man. Because like I said, I think that that's one of your strengths, and I'd love to hear a little bit more from you about.
Do you want me to pop out for a minute so you can go? Actually, Aaron Sparrow is a mean jerk, and I hate all his notes. And he's mean and he's stupid. And his face is stupid.
Everything Mark Waid said about him is right, but no, I'm not. I'm kidding. Kidding. No, it's like because I've only been doing this now for close to 3 years, so it's not even close to the hours and time Rainey's put in or Aaron has put in, Josh has put in. I'm still learning. Really, I'm still rough around the edges still, and I like to think, even though I'll be doing more, constantly more, there's still more to learn. You can still always improve. And I, coming from the military beforehand, and being a writer in high school and college, it's like I was used to the criticism, and used to the performance reports. You got to fix yourself. You got to keep doing this. You got to keep improving. So I would tell Aaron and others, like, give me the criticism. Tell me, because I trust you guys. It's one thing putting it out there, asking Joe Schmo to tell you what they think, but people who are actually accredited in it, who know what they're doing, they can actually pinpoint, hey, there's a problem here. I would suggest doing this. It's like, okay, great. Yeah, that's right. I trust Aaron. I trust Joe Corallo. I would trust Josh. Oh, I trust Max. I would trust Rainey, if I ever sort of my scripts. Like, I would love the feedback, what you guys think about the pacing. And so when guys like Aaron or Josh, Max, they see the scripts, they see the pages, and if they're impressed by it, they're blown away. It's like, okay, I know I'm onto something here. Okay, there's something special here. But yeah, I like to think like there's always room for improvement.
Yeah. And I think that we're never, I think if we take a stance of being so above our own, I guess I'll just call it egotistical, right? Because that's really a lot of the times, ego gets in the way of so many different things. But
Max, you were 100% correct, because right now in the comic book medium, there's a lot of writers and artists who have their heads so far up their asses they cannot take the criticisms. Josh Poo, you may have a story behind. You may have a story or two about that. Who are good people who aren't good at taking criticism.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. It has nothing to do with Scott Snyder wanting to do a conference call with us because we gave him a 6.5 out of 10. Okay, carry on.
Wow.
Oh God, that's right.
That's
I remember that story. Yeah.
I've never heard that
actually
story,
happened.
So I do want.
They wanted to talk about why did you give me a 6.5 out of 10?
Are you allowed to elaborate, Josh? Can you? Because speak more to that. If you can.
It was when he had so Rainy, for a period of time I wrote comic book reviews and I was with the site, and the way we scored our books is a 5 out of 10 was average. Anything above a 5 was a positive review. And Scott was familiar with this. He was familiar with our site. And one of our guys, Jay Oz, wrote a review for All-Star Batman #1 and gave it a 6.5 out of 10. And he literally emailed our site owner and said, "Hey, I really want to talk to the team because I don't understand." And then we proceeded to have a 2.5 hour call with him trying to make his point that it deserved a better score. And then thankfully. And I was I'm known for being a little too direct and a little too brash, and sometimes when I'm giving feedback I have to kind of pull back a little bit. But I was worried that everyone else was going to fold and be like, "Oh yeah, you're right." Everyone stood their ground, and I was like, "Oh fuck yeah!" Like, this is awesome.
Oh damn! I mean, if the call was elaborate on the score, so I know exactly what you mean, I need to improve on, that would have made sense.
No,
but it wasn't that.
It was not that.
Okay.
No, it was very clearly not that.
Yeah, on one hand, I understand that creators are attached to our work, and I feel that urge to be like, no, but you have to put it aside. Like, you can't. Yeah, people have their opinions. You need to just take it.
Yeah, and I think that there's a difference. Like, Josh, if Scott came to you guys and he was like, "What would make this book a 10?" and you guys started to list out, okay, here's one thing that we think could be different, right? And so, like, instead of just being like, "Why isn't it a 10?" Like the question needs to be restructured into, why did you not give my book a 10? To how can I, as a creator, now make it a 10 for you guys? Like, what would make this thing great, right?
What did you see as the problems? Even if he walks away and at the end of the day doesn't necessarily agree, because and sometimes you don't, because I'm sorry, I'm knocking action figures over every time I move my hands. I talk with my hands like a real Italian, and I'm always like knocking stuff over. So but yeah, you can still come away learning from that, even if ultimately you disagree. There's many times I would get notes from my assistant editor Janice on Darkwing Duck, and sometimes I would take them into account, and other times I would say, I'm not going to do that, and here's why. Here's what I'm doing. But I always listened. because that's what you need to do. That's how you grow. And even though I'm an editor by trade and I give advice to other people on their stories, I still seek advice on my stories when I'm doing them, because when you are doing the work, you're very close to it. So it helps to have somebody come in and go, hey, this character's motivation, it probably makes sense in your head, but it's not coming across on the page. Like, what can we do to fix it? Those sorts of things are very, very valuable.
Yeah.
No, 100%.
And to be clear, like, we had the original wave of us, anyways, we had high expectations for the reviews we write. Like, it had to be 1,500 words. There were certain things that we had to hit before we could start writing these reviews. We had to read Understanding Comics. We had to read story by, I think, Robert McKee. And they wanted us to implement those learnings and elements in our reviews, to speak broadly and say, like, this specifically is what didn't work for me. It's the very reason I had asked Rini to speak to sequential storytelling and how she approaches it, because there is a technical aspect that the common reader doesn't understand. They understand that something isn't working as well, or that it doesn't flow as well, or doesn't have the impact, but they can't speak to why. And we were like made to speak to why. So the details were there. He just didn't jive with it.
Would you guys also potentially recommend who is it? Oh, give me 1 sec. It's gonna pop in my brain. Joseph Campbell. Would you guys also recommend Joseph Campbell's Hero's Journey and understand reading that?
Yeah, it's worth reading. Look, it's worth even books that, like, people that are like, I don't really take too much away from this. It's still valuable to read them. Just, there's like that book Save the Cat that, like, everybody reads, when you first get into writing, and that's what you're told to read. I don't find that as valuable as I find other books that I've read, but it's still, there's still things that you take away from it, even if it's like, well, I'm not going to do that because of thus and so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there's also a Sid Fields book, Sid Fields screenwriting book was one we had to read. And my friend Phil brought up another book that's kind of like Understanding Comics. I can't think of the name, but it was in our Thursday show. So everybody, if you don't mind, go watch that. It was a really good show. But yeah, there are books out there that talk about story writing, but also specifically visual storytelling for comics. There's not a lot of instruction books on comic storytelling, but there are a couple, and they're really good.
Surprisingly, I found that Understanding Comics on a whim. I was at my university, my college's, like, I was getting textbooks for the semester, and sure enough, they had Understanding Comics as one of the textbooks. I don't even know what class it was for, but I saw it and I was like, oh, this looks cool, and I bought it. But and it wasn't also $300 like a normal university textbook is. It was like 20 or something. So I was like, yeah, I'll buy this. That's easy purchase. But yes, if you guys, please, if you don't have time to read an entire book, or if you guys are out there and you're thinking, man, that sounds like a lot, maybe go check out this stream by Rini and get a feel for the visual storytelling basics, and hear what these creators have to say, because each one of these guys on this panel, Drew, I think Phil. You guys have done streams before.
I know Phil. I'm good friends with I'm good friends with Phil. I share what I'm working on all the time, and he's sharing with me what he's working on, and it's like I'm always impressed. He's always impressed. So yeah, he's a great creator, great guy. He's got great stuff coming up.
Phil's really good.
And I know Narwhal has come out with fantastic, because he's an artist, correct? At least that's the last time that I remember.
He's both. He's an artist and a writer. I mean, he kind of does everything, and then he collaborates with other people. He's kind of this like crazy creative genius that just does everything and puts out like 10 books a year. It's insane.
Oh my god, okay. That's fantastic. How cool. And then I don't believe I know your third panelist here.
It's Jake. Yeah, he's our crazy wild card, I like to call it. He actually doesn't have a book out yet, but he comes from gaming, and he put the show together. So he's done a lot of work in like 3D modeling and gaming work, but he has a comic that is upcoming, and I have read his work. He's a comedy person, and I will vouch for him. It's going to be amazing when his book Carnal comes out. Yep.
I've got to say, comedy is really difficult to do in a comic book. You have to nail it. And it's different because you are reading it at your pace, as opposed to in a film, a comedic pace can be timed, right? And so having that in a comic book is really, really difficult. So, but yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, I would highly encourage everyone to go check out this panel here and go watch this stream. I might, because I only got to the first portion of this visual storytelling basic, so I want to watch the rest of it. And I'm looking forward to that. Give me some good watching material. But I know that we kind of are coming up on your time that you have to head out. Is that right? I want to be respectful of your time here. So
yeah. Oh, I want to keep talking, but I have my closeout stream, so I gotta go.
We didn't even get to our top. No, we didn't even get to our topic tonight. We actually had topics. No, but it's great because the conversation, like it just naturally became became about storytelling and your insight, and I think that it ended up being a really great show. Despite the fact that we. Yeah, so we never got to our topics, but that's okay because we'll get the topics are evergreen.
I'm sorry I distracted you, but
no, we were happy to have you.
Thank you so much. I love the comeback on. This was a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh! Please, yeah, Josh, I know you're laughing at this. Zaxx, damn you! Yeah, my chat likes to make fun of my repulsive ogreish looks.
No. Time out. Oh, before you go, Max has had a history of being like, girls don't like me. I don't understand what's going on. So we give him shit for that.
Yeah, Josh and I are witnesses firsthand. He's been handed gold in his hand. We witnessed this, and he's just turned it away. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, yeah, man, you guys love bringing up Dallas.
Oh, Max,
you're
freaking.
Oh, I'm always going to bring it up.
Freaking Captain Handsome up there in the corner.
Yeah.
Poor me. And I look like a bearded thumb.
Max is gonna be like, I'm a 4 out of 10. Meanwhile, like women are murdering each other in the chat, trying to be like, no, you're handsome.
Josh, there are more men in my chat who tell me I'm good looking than the women in my chat. Okay, so
okay, well,
I don't know. But yeah, I guess Zaxx, I guess I do deserve it. It's only fair. It's only fair.
You're not ugly. Don't listen.
Well,
especially with that hat.
It's the hat that really does it. It's this
charisma.
That's quiet there. Jeez.
Bring in the Riz. It brings out your eyes, Max. It looks really nice.
Thank you. The Riz Lord himself. Like I've got more Riz with the hat on than when I have it off. But no, I'm very. Idea, right? Yeah. I'll take this to Vegas with me in a month, and we'll see if this gets us anything. So
you'll be winning. You'll be winning Riz competitions left and right. 1v1s, 2v2s, like what 2v1s, whatever. You'll be all over it.
Damn.
You're giving Leprechaun right now, and that's not a bad
giving thing. Leprechaun. I as the Gen Zers would say, I'm giving Leprechaun, or as Steph would say, he ate. Or let him cook, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So I will say that you guys should go check out this link right here that I've highlighted in the chat, because this is the direct link to Rainy's stream that she will be on literally in like less than 2 minutes. So we need to let you go, but Rainy, thank you again so much for coming by and hanging out with us tonight. This was a true honor and a pleasure. So we will be rooting for you for your next project. We'll be backing your stuff, and we can't wait to see what you do in the future.
Thank you so much for having me on, and I would love to be back if I haven't scared you away from ever again. But thank you again. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye. Thanks again, Rainy. Have a great night.
Hey, thank you.
It's funny that Rini thinks she would scare you when I'm on here every Sunday with you.
Josh is the most. It's weird that Josh is the most controversial. Yeah,
when Josh is throwing F-bombs or F-slurs around, and no one understands why he's able to do that. No, I'm kidding.
Max, can we do a comic book about you and your hat called Lepra Chad?
Lepra Chad. It's just what would
ultimate
my
Chad of all the leprechauns.
That's right.
Yeah, who would my enemies be?
Oh, the ones that were always trying to steal your lucky charms.
My lucky charms. Me pot of gold.
Me pot of gold.
Yeah, at the end of the rainbow, it's like weapons or something. No,
it would. It's Warhammer armor. It's like themed Warhammer armor.
That would be cool. Well, I know that
from the Looney Tunes cartoons. I think the hat is coming down almost over down toward his face. You can't really see his eyes.
Oh.
You gotta draw him like
yeah, that'd be good. Like that.
Like this.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
I'll just do the rest of the stream like this. I mean, I guess I could look in my phone and I could just, look down here and look at the topics for the night. But I do actually want to say, because I want to be respectful of y'all's time too. So let me know at any point you guys want to, dip out. But we could cover a few more things before we hit our 2-hour mark.
I'm down.
I did want to actually. Oh, sweet. Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Which telework day tomorrow? I'm good.
It's a what?
Tomorrow, I'm good.
It's a telework day. No big deal. Yeah.
It's a what?
Ooh.
Telework. They work from home.
Oh,
telework.
Wow. So you can be hungover and.
Bullseye.
They were like, "Look, it's St. Patrick's Day. Nobody's going to come in sober tomorrow. Just let's make it a telework day."
Exactly.
Well, yeah, I mean, it makes sense because tonight is St. Patty's Day. And one of the things I did want to do before we move on is I wanted to go over a little bit of history of St. Patrick and who he is. But before we do that, once again, chat, thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight with Rini. She is so rad, and it was an honor and a pleasure to have her on here. And I thank, Aaron and Rini for collaborating together and getting this all set up. And hopefully
I'm sorry I sprung it on you. I'm sorry that I was like, hey, I invited Rini on tonight. You were like, oh, I wasn't prepared for that. And I was like, I don't have anything prepared. And I was like, I didn't even think of that. She just got back to me and she said hey, I'm sorry that I didn't get back to you right away, but doing my closeout stream tonight. But if you guys are doing a show, I'm available, before that. And then I was like, sure, yeah. And then I didn't even think to go well, let me check with Max. I just did it.
I mean, really, we're just trying to spring women on Max any chance we get. So that's what it actually was. Yeah.
Look, Max, ladies.
My crook.
No. It was a delightful surprise, and it was as one of my professors called it, I think it was a divine interruption. What I mean? So what he would do is he would leave, if you were leaving to go to an appointment, or if you were leaving to or not a divine interruption, a divine appointment. If he was going to, a class, or if he was going to his house, or if he was going to the gym, he would leave 15 minutes prior to the. Do you hear anything?
I can't hear you, Max.
No, now you're just coming back in now, but you dipped out for a minute.
Yeah. Hello?
Oh, you know what?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
It was Rini's stream. Okay, sorry. I was wondering what was that noise. But I had Rini's stream up. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, so he was saying, my professor was saying that before he would leave to go do something, he would always hopefully have some time to say, maybe I'll get a divine appointment or a divine, interruption where, if I leave early enough, maybe something will happen where if I take some time and something happens and I'm able to spend my time there, even if I'm not ready for it, or even if I'm not prepared, my, through prayer, through intervention, maybe this will be something actually beautiful that I may not, really be prepared for something. And I always thought that was kind of cool, but no. So I, like I said, I'm very thankful that she was able to come on here, and it ended up being a fantastic night. I felt bad because I wanted to do it as much justice as I possibly could. So I kind of rushed and grabbed my comics and made some videos for her, and Gideon got in the way, so it ended up actually working out well. But so I'm glad. I
forgot how structured and military you are, and how I'm just a complete maniac. And I'm like, Max, we're gonna do this, and you're like, what? I'm not prepared. What?
Well, I also feel like because then if I'm not prepared, I become Chris Farley, and I'll talk to her like, hey, Rini, so you made that comic. That was cool, huh? And she's just like, yeah, that is cool, And then she goes like, remember when you made a comic book, your second one? Remember when you made your second one? She's like, yeah, I do. So stupid.
Yeah.
So I did not want to be Chris Farley, especially especially when we have someone like Rini on here. So but yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully having her on again. So let me pull up where we were last time, because I wanted to bring up, oh gosh, Heidi McDonald. I have that video up as well. I shouldn't have brought that up.
Max,
Yeah.
according to Rudy, your power is derived from a mythical shillelagh stick.
Before we start on this, I just want to make it very clear I am not related to this bitch. Okay, carry on.
Before we get into this, I want to just get up and walk around because my butt is asleep. I'll be right back.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, no, Josh, just by your demeanor, just by your looks, literally, you are the opposite of everything that McDonald is. You're the good McDonald. We know that. That is very apparent here. So. But no, I this was super fun, and I'm glad that we had Rini on. And yeah, how she's a bundle of joy. She's super fun to be around, and she's fucking super talented. Like very, very, very talented. To the extent to where I think she's got to be one of the better indie creators within the space. So, yeah.
I mean, when I saw pictures of her book, my first thought was, "Oh, well, she's an indie creator doing crowdfunding, and her book actually looks good." And I'm not saying that to be a dick, but I'd say majority of the books out there don't look good.
Right. But then you see that it looks good. You see that it's got good funding. You see that it's a quality product, and then you hear her, and she's like, "Oh yeah, story structure," and you start hearing her talk about panel layouts and like the rule of thirds and shit like that, and you're like, oh my god, she like knows her stuff. Like she knows how to tell a story. This is really cool. So and that's very rare. But I mean, for you, Josh, like you were saying, we were talking about earlier with characters, did you learn that from shows like Buffy or like writers like that, where it is a character driven show, or was that something that you just kind of developed on your own while you were writing?
I mean, I think it's a combo of I think it's fair to say that Joss Whedon, in a lot of ways, shaped how I approach characters. I don't write the same way as he does. I'm not as quippy as he is. And I think people over-exaggerate his quippiness to the point that he can't write serious, and you will see that he can write some super dark, serious stuff. But yeah, I think his approach to characters shaped a lot of how I write, but also, I've got a background in theater and not musical theater. Like we did straight plays because I'm straight. But no, when you have just a few characters on a stage taking up 2 hours and all it is conversation for the most part, you've got to have interesting characters and really interesting dialogue. So I think a combination of the two really kind of played into how I approach storytelling and characters.
Yeah, that's fucking so cool, man. I love character driven stuff, and as I've gotten older, I've come to appreciate character driven stories more. And it really, I don't know, you feel like you can resonate with them more. I also think because of this culture where everyone is so superficial, character developed stories have become more intimate to me. Like I feel like I can understand the story a little bit better, and I become more involved in it. So I just think that's so rad. And because you have to have a infinite knowledge of like people, which I think is very difficult too, because you have to understand how people talk, how they interact with each other, all these little nuanced things that you don't really think about.
I think it's having known, I would say what helps me, or I think, is knowing a variety of people, knowing a wide variety of people.
Yeah.
Like what does help me is like my time in the military, whether it's going overseas, spending time in Baghdad or Kuwait or Al Salim, just like meeting people from different branches all over the damn globe, knowing how they talk, knowing their life point of view, realizing, oh shit, not everyone thinks the same way I do. Not everyone talks the same way I do. What the hell is going on here? And,
what a wild concept. Yeah, for sure, man.
You mean, wait, when you have characters with different viewpoints and different attitudes and different belief systems, and you rub them all up against each other, like that creates conflict and it creates things that are interesting happening? What?
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's wild. Absolutely wild. I don't know where these people come up with it. I don't know. I was just thought that my little echo chamber of Hollywood elites would lead me to the right place, but I guess not. I guess you can, yeah. Turns out you need to actually, squabble with the commoners every now and then. So real quick, I just wanted to say, it is St. Patty's Day. I have to do, my due diligence here. Because I think a lot of people just go, hey, it's drinking day. Hey, let's all get drunk and blah, blah. And even the Irish, I'm pretty sure, are like, what is this day again? I don't even remember anymore. Let's just get drunk, right? So I did want to say that St. Patrick was actually a patron saint and the bishop and patron saint of Ireland, who is credited with bringing Christianity to Ireland, was probably responsible in part for the Christianization of the Picts and the Anglo-Saxons, which were probably some of the raiding marauders of the north, like Sweden and Norway and all these Viking tribes that were coming down to Ireland and raiding. And so he is credited with bringing Christianity to Ireland, which is super based, which I love, which I think is fantastic. And he's also got these epic stories of him driving out the snakes out of Ireland and driving out demons out of Ireland. He just seems like a great, a really incredible individual. Even if those stories, most likely are not true, they're parables, right? But just his legacy, his legend of what he did for Ireland and the faith that he brought, I think is beautiful. And so we celebrate this is actually his death day. So for you guys who may have not known in the chat, March 17th is his death. So we celebrate unfortunately we celebrate his death because we don't know when he was born. At least that's what I remember reading. So.
We honor his death. He lived. Let's not celebrate. Thank God the freaking saint passed away. You threw away all the snakes.
We're so sick of him being here. We're so thankful that he's gone now.
We liked those snakes. They were great, and he chased them all off. That St. Patrick. So I'm glad he's
St.
dead.
Patrick. I like that all the Irish became rednecks now too.
I know what the hell happened. We all lost our. Let me try again.
Yeah.
I am so glad that St. Patrick is gone. He drove out all the snakes. Oh, those were some funny snakes. We really loved them all, and he just chased them all out of here. We're glad he's dead.
That's perfect. And then there was the other thing is that the super based thing and Chad thing that he did was he was actually we celebrate his life and we honor his death, but he was sold into slavery, I believe, as a kid, and then he was brought over from England to Ireland and was worked in the fields for 6 years and then escaped and went back to England as a free man and found his parents again. But then after he had found Christ, after he found his faith in England, he went back to Ireland as a free man, but this time because he wanted to go back to the place that he was enslaved, and he spread the good news of Christianity. So this dude went back to the people who enslaved him, and he was like, you know what? No, I'm going to come back. I'm going to go back to the place that I'm pretty much haunted by, and I'm going to spread the good word of Christ. And so the dude is absolutely based, and I'm very thankful for what he's done. But yeah, just a really cool little history lesson, and I love learning about this stuff because
the very example, the very Christ-like example of bless those that curse you.
Absolutely, man. And it doesn't mean, I think a lot of us think that turn the other cheek means something, or I think that Christianity now has turned into almost be kind and nice to everyone, right? But at the same time, I'm pretty sure St. Patrick would have driven out demons and evil people as well as forgiven those who have sinned, right? Just as Christ would have done. Christ drove out demons and he forgave the prostitutes after he said, "Go and sin no more," right? Because I think we may have talked a little bit about it, Drew, on Friday. But that phrase, right, never gets talked about. Whenever these OnlyFans girls are talking about, oh, God loves that I'm doing this stuff, right? I'm empowered. Mm-hmm. And yet, because they're like, oh, because he hung out with the prostitutes. And it's like, well, he did, but he also said, go and sin no more, right? Mm-hmm. And that's always.
And he called them the sick. He said, who does the physician, because he was accused by the Pharisees of oh, you're hanging out with these tax collectors and with these. It's so funny that they used to look down on tax collectors.
Oh yeah, like let's bring that back. No,
Yeah, you know,
Yes, yes.
but it's like tax collectors and prostitutes. You know, you hang out among these people, and Christ responded like, "Well, who does a physician come to heal? He comes to heal the sick." And so that's why he reaches out to those people. But yeah, it does always come with that caveat of go and sin no more. And people tend to forget that when they say, "What would Jesus do?" Throwing a bunch of, flipping a bunch of tables over and chasing people with sticks is not outside of the realm of possibility.
Yeah,
Exactly.
In the scripture, I believe it says that he fashioned a whip, not just like he had a whip with him and turning tables. I always think about him driving out the demons that called themselves Legion, like literally casting out demonic spirits because they did not belong in that person. Like that is, we could use some of that now. So,
and he sent them into a herd of pigs, which is where we get deviled ham.
Oh, I thought you were about to say cancel pig. And I was like, oh, that's a perfect segue because we need to pray for our cancel pig here, Heidi McDonald. We need to offer our forgiveness and prayers towards her because I am fully under the I fully believe that at this point Heidi is so enveloped in her own propaganda that she cannot see outside of it. Because if she accepts the fact that there are people between the ages of 30 and 60 that want to buy good books from legacy creators, that it would completely destroy her narrative. And that is why I think she is so vehemently opposed to saying anything other than what she pursues is this what I can not call anything other than propaganda. Did you guys get a chance to see this clip? I think I'd sent I think it's only like a minute here where she talks about Mark Miller and the old people and John Byrne and stuff. But did you guys have any thoughts before we play this clip for the chat?
I'm going to save mine for once you play it.
Okay.
I continued after, well after this clip. I continued on like an hour 10, hour 20 into this before I stopped.
Really?
But yeah, I did, because I wanted to hear how much shit she had to say. But I will say, like later on, if there's one good thing to say, I mentioned to her in our group chat. There's one positive to take away from this is what she said is betting on yourself, and that's what we're doing as independent creators. Aaron, me, Max, Rainey, we're betting on ourselves by being independent creators, and that's the one positive I will give her from this, from that video. Everything else, no, she can shove it up her ass.
And you know what? Drew, that's what I always appreciate about your reviews and your critiques is that even with someone who is so clearly just completely enveloped in their own worldview, and so corrupt in their in their job, you can still look at something that they say and you can still say, hey, here's a positive, right? Here's the silver lining about what she said. So I appreciate that. Yeah. Did you hear anything beforehand where she's talking about graphic novels and she's talking about, comic sales and stuff like that? Did you listen to anything before, or was it all after?
It was all after for me.
Okay.
And,
all right.
And that tool, that guy, I think, what did I tell you guys that he said in our group chat? Like, it drove me nuts. Oh yeah, we need more websites that aren't into sensationalist news. Who the fuck? I can't believe this. He said that to her. I can't believe it.
Thank you, Short Bus podcast. I mean, Short Box podcast. Yeah, thank you for that. No, I mean, gosh, yeah, it's not like Comic Beat is sensationalist.
Is it Short Bus or is it based? Like, I mean,
what the fact that he's like, oh, we don't need more sensationalists. I mean, I think he's
nice,
right.
Uh-huh.
I think he's right, but I think to say it to Heidi McDonald is redonkulous.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Because he's saying that she is
sensationalist, chat? Does the chat find us sensationalist? Or do they just find us pretty like even keel guys with pretty sensible takes?
I think that's why I like having this panel and why I like having these shows, is because I do feel that we lean more towards individuals with pretty, critical, like human critical thinking, takes. But like, who is a sensationalist? MaxiPad, Ricky Rich, those guys are sensationalists. That whole thing is that yeah. But thanks Zaxx. We gotta love this. Yeah. But no, I mean, I think in the context of, are there things that are too sensationalized? Absolutely. Is Heidi one of the people that fosters that culture and that narrative? Yeah, absolutely. So it's a little bit hypocritical to say, I guess, on this podcast. But all right. Well, let's play the 1 minute clip, and then we'll give we'll offer our constructive criticism here.
Travis, because it seems like, as fake as it is, one of the few kind of positives that we can look at and be like, oh, aren't they cute? So there's a lot of anxiety. Now, some of it is justified. And I do think, but I think it's the narrative is clouded by bad actors who are trading on the anxiety in order to sell their own products. And, okay, Mark Millar, I challenge you, right? And it's just like, he's coming out. I'm sorry, I am Scottish, so I'm going to do the Scottish accent, and he's like, oh, I wish we could get all the old timers working on the comics again. And like, Mark, you are an old timer. You're just talking about yourself. You want to be doing your Superman, and that's fine. Own it, my friend. You did great. Red Sun, that is great. You did some really good Superman stuff. I'd love to see you come back. Okay. But I mean, it's very self-serving of a Mark Millar. It's like, oh, what about John Byrne? No one wants to see John Byrne on comics. They don't. Old people do.
Max, you just turned 30. I wouldn't say that you're an old person. If the X-Men announcement came out and one of the names that was attached to it as writer or artist was John Byrne, how would you feel about that? Being one of the youth demographic.
I wonder if she would consider me in the youth, or if they want like 18 or 19-year-olds, if that's what they want for their demographic. But for me, I would kill to have John Byrne on an X-Men comic. Like, that would be my dream right now, to have John Byrne on an X-Men comic, or just any comic at all. And so
right there, the numbers don't lie. Like we showed on Friday. If you guys didn't watch our Friday stream, people are bootlegging his X-Men Elsewin on eBay. They're printing them off, making their own bootleg omnibuy, selling them for $450, $440.
It's all old people.
What does that tell you?
It's all old people. That's what it is.
Yeah. Come on, Drew. That's just old.
And if anyone has their fingers on the pulse of the youth, it's this 60-year-old woman, right?
Absolutely.
60-year-old far left New York woman.
I mean, clearly she's got her pulse on the youth when she's doing things like challenging Mark Millar.
Yes. I challenge you.
I challenge. I just want to say that, one, I think it's so funny that she finds it appropriate to be so bold to challenge Mark Millar on a stream that's got like 100 views.
And most of those are guys like us, because we were talking about, have you guys seen this stream?
And look, this isn't me ragging on a smaller channel. Look, I've got a smaller channel, but my point is, if she were on a much larger platform, I doubt she would have done that. I doubt she would have even called him out. I think she would have maybe spoken to the idea of, only older people want the likes of Byrne or Millar or whatever. But specifically calling him out the way she did, I don't think she would have done that. Also, as Drew pointed out, the numbers speak for themselves. Like, no one wants this. Well, people who actually have money to pay want this. They will pay for this. Unlike these 18 and 19-year-olds who think it's, too much to work 5 or 10 hours a week because they have class and school. I'm not.
Wait a second. Is that I have class. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my
no,
God,
I'm talking about
Drew,
people that used to work for me. But
I've been working 2 hours and I haven't had a break yet, and the customers, they just keep coming.
Yeah.
Hello.
Or Josh, it's not even the, oh, I have to work for more than 2 hours or 5 hours. It's the ones who are like, I'm just gonna pirate the comic anyway because I don't support Disney because they support you know who, right? And it's like, oh my, what are we doing here? You know, the absolute state of comics is that, you know, the person who's preaching about it on Twitter didn't pay for the comic anyway because they're not supporting Disney, because it's so outrageously dumb. But that's where we're at now. So why would they want those 18 to 19-year-old individuals with every activist, you know, thought in the world, but the people who have more disposable income than we've ever had, they don't want to cater to us because we're the bad peoples. We're the baby, the neck bearded man babies, right? So
and it's super
I've had more disposable income in the past, but that was a previous administration.
Well, yeah, yes, that's very true. I wonder who that could have been. Yeah. So
I'll also add that it's super hypocritical for her to, you know, call people out as bad actors, aka, you know, people making bad faith arguments. Throwing that out there from that.
Ooh, bad faith and good faith. Hey, look at that.
When she is blatantly being a bad actor, making a bad faith argument, like she knows what she's saying is not true. She knows it. Like, we're not questioning. Like, she is very well aware that people are doing. She's got to be aware that people are doing this with Byrne's work. She's got to be aware of the sales numbers of when we have Legends come back on in a book that's actually. And when I say actually matters, I want to preface this that it plays a role in continuity, not that it doesn't matter. But if you get a solid creator on a book that matters, it plays a weight in the role of continuity. It sells well. Even if you get good enough talent on books that don't sell well, if they know that these creators are getting to do what they want to do and they're not being hindered by editorial or whatever the fuck the publisher is wanting to press or preach or anything like that, it sells well. She knows this and she's still saying the opposite. But it goes back, like, you know, she's got stakes and these people that she's trying to push because they're her friends that she helped kind of like push into the industry to begin with. So
remember, she said recently that, you know, I'm wondering when I'm going to have time to do my job, but I'm too busy, you know, seeding new projects and recommending people and things like that. She thinks that she's a tastemaker. So let me ask you this. What has Heidi McDonald ever been involved with? What creator has she ever pushed? Just name something for me. What has she ever done that moved the needle, that sold? Who has she ever, like, who has she discovered? I can't.
Clearly, Distillery. I mean, go.
Oh, that's right. Publisher of the Year, Distillery. Yeah. Publisher of the Year. Everybody's talking about them.
You know what's funny? She actually mentioned Distillery in this interview. So, like, I think the kid, the short box guy was like, so what are some current books that you'd recommend or that you're reading right now? And she's like, I'm really happy with the Distillery books, and I wrote a great article about it. And I was just like, oh, yep, of course.
You know, Chip Mosher had $15 left on a Target gift card, and he sent to me. So I'm really excited about Distillery. it's like, first of all, cronies. It's cronyism. It's just, Distillery is not doing anything that anybody in the industry cares about. Nobody's talking about those books. And it kills me that Mirka Andolfo is over there because I absolutely love Mirka's work.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and she's doing a book over there. Wow. And I'm just like, I'm not even checking it out because I know who's running that company. That company is being run by one of the biggest Whisper Network people ever to exist. And he's making the decisions. The person who gave you all those great Comixology originals because he was such a tastemaker. Remember all of those? All of those wildly successful Comixology originals? Well, guess what? They're back in Distillery form.
Ew. No one wants that. I remember we showed that picture on the Friday night stream. It's like, aren't you guys interested in Comixology characters? And it was a nightmare. I'm gonna pull up the picture because it was just
female prisoner firefighters. Don't we all want to read about female prisoner firefighters? Yeah,
it was just so random. But Josh, to your point about because you were saying she's saying this in bad faith because she knows that this is incorrect. She knows that these things are false, and yet she continues to say it like it's true because she's pushing a narrative. But you think that the narrative is that and correct me if I'm wrong, you think that the narrative is because she's protecting the friends that she has within the industry, and she still wants the access? Is that kind of what you're saying? Or
it's not even that she's protecting the friends. I mean, I think she definitely still wants the access, so she's trying to keep that group close to her. But I think it's the fact that it's kind of what Drew or Aaron said earlier. If it comes out and you put John Byrne on an X-Men book and it sells like crazy, she loses whatever credibility she has with certain audiences. And I would say that credibility is waning. And the only reason she has what little credibility that she does have with people is she's kind of like the last surviving person that attempted to have competent media coverage of comics. And I feel like that's a very gracious description of what she was doing. But when all your good coverage of comics, when all of that kind of stopped, she was the only one that was kind of there trying to be a source of news, not, opinions. But she's very much became like an opinion bandwagon, shoving it down people's throats.
Well, you gotta get invited to those sad parties at conventions, those sad publisher parties.
Oh yeah,
you gotta get invited to those so you can walk around and say, I heard someone was in Comicsgate. Did you hear that? Well, that's what people are saying. You're saying that.
It's like, who said that?
You're spreading the rumor.
Yeah.
Listen, I was gonna say it's very easy to get invited to those publisher parties. I'm just throwing it out there. Like find the talent that's gonna be represented. Look, just whatever talent is there for that publisher at that convention. If you have an interaction with them, offer to buy them a drink, and they're gonna let you know I'm gonna be here. Just come on over.
Mm-hmm.
Magically, you're in the publisher party.
Wow. Okay.
How do I know?
Good to know for next time.
I did this for years. Okay.
Good to know it's good to know for Dallas. Yeah, in case
yeah.
If you want to go to those big 2 publisher parties, Drew, I'm sure you'll be really welcome there.
Yeah. Right.
No. I get enough nasty look. I get enough nasty looks from creators when I walk in. Like, I remember going through the GalaxyCon convention. Some of the creators were looking at me. They knew who I was. Won't say names. But, yeah.
There's that that ripped my comic on stream.
Just make sure you have a name tag that has your pronouns on there. All 3 of them, by the way. So just you don't want to.
To Zaxx has a comment. I don't believe she has friends. Look, I don't think she does either. And she reminds me of someone that I know in Los Angeles who was so desperate to have friends because she didn't have genuine friends that she was going around being like, oh, did you know? And would spread gossip, whether it was true or not, just so she could feel like she was involved.
Yeah.
And did they really like her? No. But they got tea. So they're like, okay, we'll keep you at a distance.
I tell people secrets. It makes them like me.
I mean, which is sad to say, like that. What that type of existence would just be one, exhausting, but also so sad. But she has chosen this lifestyle because she thinks that it will. I'm assuming. I mean, I can speak to what she says, right? And how she speaks, especially to like Mark Miller, especially in this interview where she's talking directly to Mark Miller, is so condescending. Where she's like, you did your little Superman book and it was nice, do your little Red Sun. It was okay. But this is self-serving for you, Mark. You want to do this, blah, blah, blah. And how she comes across is just so vile and awful. I see why this would make sense. Why the fact that she doesn't have friends would track, right? Why that would come to fruition. But yeah, it's unfortunate that is how she's chosen to be within this industry when she could be trying to do something to help it, right? But thanks, Shieldwall. Have a great night, brother.
Thanks, Shieldwall. I think that she certainly has acquaintances. She has people who are willing to use her, and that's what it comes down to. Use her to get their narrative across, and that's how like a lot of these people are. They don't have any friends. They'll stab you in the back if they think that it can get them, a job or a little bit of clout. And they all just kind of like feed off of each other in these whisper networks, but they're all watching each other. They're all watching their backs for each other. And what a horrible and depressing way to live.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think too, because we were talking about why would she argue this stuff in bad faith? Like, why would she push this stuff that she knowingly is lying about? And I think for me, it just comes down to her main argument in that clip. No one wants to see John Byrne comics. That was her quote, right? I'm proof we're all living proof. We are not old men. We are younger gentlemen. That we are all living proof that we would all prefer to see John Byrne on literally anything right now. And if that were to happen, it would completely crumble everything that her and her like cronies have been pushing for the past decade, and they cannot have that. And so for me, I think that's
eBay is
more
proof
so
right
why.
now. It's not
Oh,
just
well,
us. eBay is proof right now. People will spend the money. Marvel is well aware. People spend the money on it. It's just they just got to talk turkey with him on, I guess, money. But we'll see what happens with that.
Drew, do you think people will spend money on these characters? These are
Jesus
great.
Christ.
Don't you like Woman Sitting? I loved her book.
Every enthusiasm I had, all the enthusiasm I had like, in that nanosecond talking about John Byrne is gone as soon as I saw this image. All that is gone.
How about Blue AI generated man? He looks interesting, right? What's his story?
I like in the upper corner there. I like Karate Wizard Disco Lesbian. No, there's the other side.
Yeah,
that's my favorite.
Yeah.
Or you got Heidi McDonald down there in the corner tweeting to one of her other friends in the Whisper Network.
Yep.
Look, spreading secrets so that people like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say I like the dinosaur. I will say without reservation I like the dinosaur.
Is this the like a Cthulhu dinosaur?
Sure. Yeah, I think so. Look, he's got tentacle.
I swear
hands.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
I swear I've seen that in some schlocky film from the 70s or 80s. I swear I've seen that before. I don't know where, but it'll come to me.
Hey, but it's the most original thing on this page, so I'll take it.
If you take out that monster, there is nothing on this page that would get you to look at it twice.
No. And this is the comic book medium. Like this is their future of what they want to push for digital comics. And I'm like, no one will read like who are you trying to get with this type of material? I do not know.
No effort. It lowered expectations. Just the lowest hanging fruit. Just it reflects the effort they put into it, and I see none of it.
Well, that's why, when you get stuff like what Rainey has done, and you see like the absolute like the meticulous involvement of the language and the map and the story and the costume and the world and all this stuff that is like just so beautifully detailed of like her creative mind, like, pouring out onto the page. And then you look at this lazy bullshit and you're just like, you've never, like, you're not even trying. So yeah, I look at this and I just laugh. Like this image makes me laugh, but the Heidi comment makes me angry because I'm just like, you're lying. Whereas this is just like, oh, come on. Come on.
And she's so irrelevant. Like you interview her and you get like 100 views and you know that, like, let's see. So we can start taking away. I watched it. You watched it. Drew watched it. Josh watched it. Perch watched it. Your boy Zach watched it. Like by the time you go through like YouTubers, it's way less than that.
Oh, hey,
Comics
Exposed.
Oh, I want to read this.
Yeah, so
Heidi McDonald will be remembered for writing lies about the current state of the comic industry, pushing agendas instead of great storytelling, attacking creatives for not locking step in said agendas, spreading fear through her part in the Whisper Network, not wanting to cover the growth of independent comics online unless it was from her approved gender political misfit narrative. She is a cornerstone of the Cancel Pig gang that has led to many creatives to leave the industry. The loss of many, the loss of many comic shop, the downfall of American, and then there's more, but the downfall of American comic book storytelling. Heidi McDonald is part of this dark age, and she will be remembered for it. And then the other comment is very well said. She's part of the problem.
Wow. Whoever this user is, Jason. Yeah, Jason, you want to come on the show?
I know, Jason. Let me just give you this. Beast.
Yeah. Wow. this is what needs to be said. And I'm very thankful that Jason, had the cojones to make this comment. And hey, Comics Exposed, he is a subscriber. He is actually a commenter on a lot of our videos that we do. So
Yeah.
Comics Exposed, I recognize that icon and that name. I see him all the time. He's a great supporter. So appreciate Comics Exposed. But yeah, he says very well said 2 days ago. She's part of the problem. So yeah, man, this is it right here. These guys are both saying it how it is, and this is how it needs to be. We need to call this stuff out, or else comics journalism will never get better. And unfortunately, that would make the industry better. I feel like if we got some great journalists there, but we don't have that. So let me shout out once again. Oh my gosh, dude, DJ Smith for $10, crushing it tonight, man. Thank you. He says, I'm 25. John Byrne Fantastic Four is one of my favorite comic book runs since I was 7, because my dad helped me introduce me to comics at a library in 2007. Wow, dude, that is so rad. Thank you for sharing that. And what an incredible experience that you and your dad got to share, for him to show you that book. And yeah, the John Byrne Fantastic Four is a beautiful story. So like I said, thank you for sharing that, man, for the $10. We really appreciate that. And we love hearing that, man. And, you're younger than all of us, so you need to speak out as well, because the Heidi McDonalds think that you are not part of this. They think that you are not wanting John Byrne comics. And it's just not, it's literally factually, objectively incorrect. Like, we can point to so many things saying you are just wrong. And so I appreciate it, DJ. We love hearing your voice here. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and John Byrne's Fantastic Four was my first Fantastic Four. It was the first issue I read was when they were miniaturized by Dr. Doom down in a small village. They were, Reed Richards having flashes of like, oh, dude, what's going on? Like we were in space, something happened. And yeah, it was a great issue, a great double-sized issue.
Yeah. That's so rad. DJ, for you, brother, thank you for the 10. Yeah, this is for you.
Adopt or die. Thanks for the heads up. Sweet dreams, chilled. You took that like a champ. If it's meant to be a death blow.
That is a super cut, and I love it. Oh, hang on.
That's a $10 get you on here. Oh, look who it is. It's Cheeto. Or is that Cheeto?
Yep.
Or
Senor Cheeto.
Senor Cheeto. Let's get a closer look at Senor Cheeto.
Oh,
my goodness.
Put him in the camera. He's like, no, I will not do it. There we go.
Oh my gosh, I'm camera shy.
When I got up, he was making. Oh, see, it's cutting out. When I got up, he was making noise, and I was like, he was clinking his bowl against the glass, which usually means he wants out. So I was like, all right, come on, come on.
He's a handsome boy.
Mm-hmm.
Handsome boy.
Chubby.
What's up, Jacob? Yeah, thank you, sir. Everyone's been loving my hat tonight. I must say, I do have the Riz.
That's right, the Riz King.
The Riz King, if you will. So, but yeah, for all of you that wondered what that was Icelandic. So I think we should all, or Slavic. Well, yeah. There's a credited voice coach that has a specific dialect, and I need to go back and look at the credits, but you can find it, and I believe it's Icelandic. So,
oh yeah,
bullshit.
Look, come on, that guy did that job like a chump.
Hey, I mean, yeah, death blow. Something needed to be done with the death blow. I mean, it could have been, yeah.
Once, like, okay, let's say that that's all true. This guy came on and did the voice coaching. Once you heard it, you needed to go back and go, okay, we're killing this idea. This is not a good idea. Yeah. Just say it with like just a little bit of an Eastern European thing going on, and that'll probably be fine. People will accept it. They won't have a problem with it.
There may be a little bit of truth to this, and I'm not sure, but I don't want to speculate. I don't want to be a pooper scooper, but we went back on Friday and we looked through ISOM again, and when Kyle read through the dialogue, she did not sound like she had a Russian accent or an Icelandic accent or a German accent. Like it read like a woman from the US.
Mhm.
But we think, and this, like I said, this is just speculating. We think that maybe the Saskas added the accent. And I wonder if that has any validity to it. So,
I mean, Eric was there with them on set filming.
Well, I mean, and he would have had to sign off on it, which is, which is that's his, that is his choice. But I think that maybe the people who, because he wrote her as probably someone from the US, but then the Saskas came in and they're like, wouldn't it be cool if she were Icelandic, right? Because she has ice powers. And then Eric might have said, yeah, I love it. Go with it.
They're Canadian, but I hate Americans. They're generally Americans. She has ice. Iceland is not covered in ice. It's fucking Greenland.
That's the joke, right? It's like Iceland is green and Greenland is covered in ice.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, learn that in Mighty Ducks too. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all just pining for the fjords.
Yeah.
Well, I think that should do it for tonight. I know we didn't get to the box office stuff because if we were to look at some of the other topics that we had, you'll see that the American Society, and that's all I'm going to call it, but the American Society movie has less than lackluster reviews, a 2.3, a 30% on Rotten Tomatoes, 3 out of 10 on IMDb. If you look at the Rotten Tomatoes scores, a day ago it was actually less than 50 reviews. And if you looked at here, let me go back to the movie. So if you went to here and you went to all audience, it was a 28%. I think it was like 30 something. But yeah, 1.9 out of 5 is the all audience, whereas verified audience is of course higher. But that's all audience, 30% for all critics, 19% for top critics. Like, my God, dude, this race baiting shit is finally getting the shit can because people are so sick of it. But like I said, I know we don't have time to
2 years. It sat on a shelf for 2 years. That's all I'm going to say. And then they released it now. So.
Oh, well, yeah, because they wanted to release it when this stuff was selling.
Yes.
They didn't realize that.
Or when they were being told that it was selling, because it never really was.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Selling. Yeah.
It's interesting because, if you guys want to see a funny sketch about the magical Negro trope, go watch the Key and Peele sketch. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is a trope, and I understand the idea of wanting to make fun of it. Because you do have movies like, The Legend of Bagger Vance, where it's like, well,
not just that, Stephen King uses that a lot in a lot of his novels. So,
yeah, that's true. The Shining, it's now granted the movie version, Kubrick was smart enough. Yeah, Kubrick was smart enough to get Scatman Crothers, so it worked. Yeah, it's just it's a dumb trope. And apparently this movie did not do a good job with it. Normal people hate it, and wokies are like, it wasn't woke enough.
Oh my God. Really? That was what the critique was?
Yeah.
Oh my Lord. That's my God. Okay. Well,
we've got to pander harder, Max.
The pander stone is not enough, I guess. My gosh. But that'll do it for tonight. I did forget to read this. So DJ Smith, thank you for reminding me because I brought this up, but I didn't actually get a chance to read it. So thank you for reminding me. For $5, once again, DJ Smith, dude, like I said, you're just crushing it tonight. Thank you for all your support. We love seeing you in the chat, supporting us and talking to us here. But he says, this one's specifically for Josh. He says, Josh, you should hire Riley Rossmo or Erica Henderson for the art. 1 million copies, no question. That's in all caps. So what do you think? You gonna get on that? You gonna get on that train? You gonna get on that tippy toe?
Yeah, he brought this
tippy
up.
Tippy toe Robin, twinkle toe train.
Twinkle toes. Yeah, he brought this up after I mentioned I didn't think some of my scripts would work well for comics because I don't have the right medium for them. And then I said unless I had the right artist, and then he had to throw this in. And my only comment is, DJ Smith, you must be a masochist because you love to put comments like this out there for me to come back and be like, you shut your little whore mouth, DJ Smith. No, I got
Hey,
I
Josh
got a good
tells it how
laugh
it
when I
is.
saw it, and I was like, oh. The thought of
Yeah.
Riley. Okay, I'm just gonna say this: the thought of Riley Rossmo doing art for identities in particular, and what I'm wanting that to be, makes me want to go put a GUN in my mouth. Okay, there we go. Thanks. Thanks. I'm so happy I could be here and make this positive. Okay,
Yay! Oh, positive.
Yay!
Thank you, Josh. Thank you.
Oh, wait.
Yeah,
Hold
that
on,
would.
I'm sorry.
Uh-oh. Do we? Oh no, he's getting the hat. I think.
Okay,
he's
let's go on to the next super. Oh, there we go.
Whoa,
Hey, that was
there
great.
he is, Rizzy Ricky Rich.
What? Oh, what guys? Riley Rossmo? Oh, Riley Rossmo? Oh,
Bro,
like,
Riley
I could only
Rossmo
be so
on
lucky.
that comic book.
Like, gagged. Isn't that what all the cool kids are saying? These are gagged. Oh, yeah, come on. It's great. It's great. It's great. Come on. It's great.
You have to
Okay,
yeah, Rizzy Ricky Rich, you have to scream at the top of your lungs like you're a deranged maniac.
I love Riley
order-
Rossmo.
Yeah, in order for me to believe you. So well, thank you again, DJ.
Yeah, I didn't buy
kind of
buddy
you.
either. Whoop.
We got another super chat before we go out.
Oh, we do. Dylan Lindsay, dude, for 5. Bwah, 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 bwah. Thank you, sir, for the 5. Look at that. Super kind of you, Dylan. Thank you, sir. Dylan, my man, he says, fantastic show. I went back and read JB Superman, and I don't regret it. He was before my time reading comics, and even I want him back. She's crazy. Dude. Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah. Go ahead.
I remember reading Man of Steel. I had the audio cassette. Yes, she is. I remember reading Man of Steel, and I had the cassette tape that came with the Man of Steel #1. It was like the audio cassette. You could play it along, listening to it along with the comic. Yep, I've got all 4 of those, Josh. I got all 4 of them. And I mean, despite his issue of Superman shooting a porno with Big Barda, it's outstanding. Yeah, it's
oh my god.
Yeah, that was a thing. That happened.
Oh my god. Yikes. Well, once again, Dylan, thank you so much, man. Yeah, tonight was a fantastic show, and I can't thank you guys enough in the chat. Thank you to all the lurkers, all the subscribers, and the members. You guys are amazing. Thank you for supporting us tonight. Thanks for supporting Rini. Like, seriously, guys, I try to be selective with who we have on, and I trust these guys in the panel to be able to recognize, like, hey, this is a really talented individual, or this is someone we want to promote, or this is someone we want to talk about. And we know that you guys have money that you want to spend, but it's also your hard-earned cash. And so we don't want to, promote a product that may not be up to what we would want to promote, or up to the standards that we think is really changing the game, or really raising the bar of this comic book industry. And so we support Rini, and we love what she's doing, because she's, like I said, she's literally changing the game, and she has one of the better products out there in the indie comic space. So you guys are great.
Great person. Just, just a sweetheart.
Oh, but you couldn't have said it better myself, Aaron. Yeah. Sweetheart is a perfect word for her. She's super energetic and charismatic, and I think people love that about her. And it sells, it sells books. Her personality towards the fans really, like, it just, we are so what's the word, endearment, there's that endearment towards her, and it's great. So thank you, Zaxx, appreciate you supporting us, brother. You guys got anything else before we head out? Aaron, your Twitter is in the description. Josh, your YouTube is in the description, and Drew, your book is in the description as well.
Outstanding.
So you guys can find all those down there. But anything else before we want to take off?
Yeah, sign up for updates at Neil Before Doomface at
gmail.com.
Oh, yeah.
I will add your I'll add your, is that an email or a website? Because I'll put your email down there. Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be neilbeforedoomface at gmail.com is where you're going to get on the mailing list.
Hell yeah. Can't wait, man. And talking about indie comics, once Unholy Nightmare and Neil Before Doomface comes out, it's going to be a party on Max's Man Cave. We're going to be talking about those like crazy. So that'll be a lot of fun.
And PBC.
Well, once again, and what?
I said and PBC. Pop My Culture.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's right. We'll be back on Tuesday nights.
Yeah.
Hey, I have spring break this week, which maybe Tuesday night if you have an opening, maybe
Max,
Max.
I'll be in Huntington Beach. Do you want to just come over and and just like?
Oh, we can both just stream from
We'll
there.
do it from the hot tub.
A hot tub stream.
Hot tub stream.
You may hit 1,000 subscribers if Aaron and I do a hot tub stream. So, I don't know.
I'll eat chili. Like it'll be like bare chest of chili eating. Oh no, it's gotten into my chest hair.
The steam coming off of the jacuzzi. Oh boy. Maybe that'll only be for members or something. We'll figure. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to y'all's indie comics as well, and those will be great. So, well, everyone enjoy y'all's St. Patty's Day. Be safe if you guys are drinking. If not, and enjoy the night to yourselves or with family. Yeah, and remember that we celebrate the life, not the death. We celebrate the life of the late great Saint Patrick, who brought Christianity to the Irish lands and brought Christ to a lot of people who needed him at the time. So let us emulate that same character of that Christ-like, just courage of spreading the good news, and let us celebrate him on St. Patty's Day. Once again, thank you guys for all your support. Reject modernity and embrace your legacy. And we'll see you guys probably most likely on Tuesday for Josh's show. So we'll see you all there. Thanks again, guys. Take care.